Erie. Let's see. Hey, David, how's it going? What's happening? Has it started? It has now. Uh, Keith is slow on the trigger. I was actually reading Putin's speech to Eva there, and it just ran a little bit too long.
Gave a rip-roaring speech.
Yeah, it was a pretty good speech. We're in trouble.
Of course we're in trouble.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, so as you might have noticed, if you watched the video, Eva and I have been fighting the rain the last few days. And I thought it was over last evening. It was clear skies, beautiful moon coming up, the whole 9 yards. And sometime before dawn, I hear rain sprinkling upon the roof of the camper. And I realized I had forgotten to tarp the oar sitting on the trailer. So I went frolicking out in my stocking feet. And luckily, it was amazing. I just went foomph, and the tarp just magically spread out and landed on all the buckets. And with no wind, that seemed to be adequate. And indeed it was. By the time I got up, 8 o'clock or so, it was still there and keeping the oar dry. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff. I haven't really got much in the way of details because we left shortly after. But from the preliminary reports, it looked like Florida got steamrolled. High winds for long periods of time do a lot of damage. Debris flying in the wind, smashing into stuff for long periods of time does a lot of damage. Haven't been able to get caught up on the exact damage and human costs, but I'm sure it's big. And I hope you and all your family made it through all right, Jeff. No doubt you took some kind of a shellacking. I don't think anyone in Florida got away with nothing, but yeah.
I hope things are well.
80 dead so far. Where he was, the storm was 155 miles an hour for 14 hours, is what he said. Goodness gracious. That's kind of like my demolition hammer to the rock. Each blow doesn't maybe break the rock, but after a while, several hundred blows crack. And 25 inches of rain. Damn. That sucks, the big one. My daughter's in North Carolina. They did okay, but they're used to this. They live kind of out in the country and a little bit of high ground and stuff. He said a few trees got blown down, but nothing in the house. Nothing damaging. Yeah, Jeff. We had 1 inch of rain and 0 wind. I don't know if you saw my video, but it was. The temperatures weren't bad. It was only about 50, and with no wind, it wasn't hard to stay reasonably warm. Of course, Eva had the fire pit going next to her. I think with steady rain for 8 hours, the fire danger is pretty much eliminated. Yeah, I think in Helena here, we only get like 5 or 6 inches a year. So, yeah, 25 inches would be a lot. But where we were at, it was just slow drizzle, not even slow drizzle, just drizzle. But good for the range. Nice soaking rain, good for the grass, good for the trees. So that worked out real well. Working wasn't as much fun though. Eva soldiered on upstairs under her little canopy chair with my rain jacket over the back of it there. Hey, Michael, how's it going? Um, with the fire next to it. Of course, I was underground. It never, well, if it rains underground, it never stops raining because that means you're below the water table. I used to work in areas that did that. And yeah, I wore a lot of rubber boots and slicker suits. But you always knew what the weather was going to be depending upon where you were at, unless you were right close to the shaft. I was a supply man, so I was right close to the shaft at times. And that could fluctuate a fair amount. Now, good luck with that one, Lars. Hopefully so. Um, Eve and I are supposed to go out Wednesday and meet a gentleman near Boulder. Um, and um, he's going to show us a spot that he is confident has good values and is open for prospecting, claiming. The idea or stake a claim for even us.
I want a sapphire claim.
That would be basically placer
Jim.
around here. Yeah. So anyhow, that's on our list, and we didn't get a lot of ore this trip. Between everything, including the vein pinching off a bit, it was kind of a light load. I was also feeling a bit peakedy. Is the heater on, little one? I'm feeling kind of warm.
The heater's been off and on. I mean, I don't have it on steady.
Well, I'm going to open the door. My brother was here last week, so we were fishing a lot, and then I went mining this weekend. I was kind of dragging tail, so maybe I'm pushing a little too hard for right after the infection or whatever. We'll see. So I end up with 3 buckets running several. Yesterday on my second bucket, I got 0.28 grams. Yeah, that's pretty good for 1 bucket. Okay. So let's see. So I end up with 3 buckets. I run them separately. Yesterday on my second bucket. Okay, so then I bring it home and classify it. 2 buckets will classify down to 1. So I end up with 3 buckets, run them separately. So you started with 6, you wind up with 3, and 1/3 of that was 0.28. Okay, so 3/4 a little more full. I'll call it 40 pounds per bucket. Okay, so 6 times 40 equals, divide by 3 equals. So about 80 pounds gave you 0.28 grams. So let's go 2,000, divide by 80, 1/25 of a ton. So now we multiply that times 0.28. So that's about 7 grams per ton, or roughly $350 per ton. And so that is very high grade for placer if you have any kind of quantity or something. If you're just high grading a little spot, not so much. But yeah, Jim would love to have $350 a ton placer. Yeah, you can make some money. I mean, what's Bryce's plant running, about 30 tons per hour?
I believe so.
Yeah, $10,000 an hour. That's not bad. And in general, I agree. I tend to classify in the field too. The negative on that is if you're using the gravel for some kind of fill around the house, that can come in handy. um, by the way, when I dropped the trailer off out at the ranch today, yeah, it had got a lot of rain. The the rain tarp over the pad,
Yeah.
I think overflowed.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, that's okay because I mean that's just rainwater. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is put a little cut in the berm on one side, so if it does overflow, because again, it's just the rain tarp, it'll just go off and thing. What I did was I took a short piece of hose that was laying out there and started siphoning it off, so that when we get back there, we don't have 26 tons of water to remove. um, but yeah, we got a fair amount of rain out there. Oh, I hope quick before I pass out. Quick what? Hello, I hear. Should get some extra IBCs or pond liner, make a holding area for fresh water. Don't really need it that much. Hey, thousand. No, this wasn't hurricane. This was just steady drizzle. Hey, Van. Dave. Oh, I think that's just a second here. Yeah, that's the gentleman we're going to meet this weekend, I believe. Not this weekend, Wednesday. Wednesday noon is the plan. Trying to find. I haven't looked it up on the map yet. I've been kind of busy. Um, exit 160. Let's see if I can do this. Exit 160. I-15. Let's see if it does it. Exit Explorer. Okay. It says what it is. Okay. Should be there, no problem. Oh, so we appreciate it, Dave. Oh, so anyhow, yeah, it shouldn't be too big a deal. The the poor minor Bago. I think I told you last weekend the radiator hose got a hole in it, so it got overheated again. That poor engine. We're working on options. My stepson is figuring out exactly what the best engine to put together for that thing is. Sounds like a roller cam 350 Vortec heads. But anyhow, are you seeing timestamps on the comments? I don't see timestamps on the comments, but they do seem to be a fair delay, like 30 seconds or something. So let's see. Where the heck is my phone? Oh, my phone's over there. Could you get my phone, please?
I'll consider it. I'm working on something more critical right now. My hair.
If you want to pay for it and all of the changes you'd need, yeah, Cummins with an Allison would be nice, but it won't exactly bolt right in. Okay, so you can toggle timestamps in chat on. Where would that be? Click the three dots and select timestamps. Okay. Participants, toggle timestamps. Okay. So that's cool. Let's see what time it is right now, according to my telecommunications device. 6:18.
It's
Okay.
now.
Hey, Rock, how's it going?
Hi, Rock.
Yep, I got it now. And Minor Jim is not here again this weekend. He had to go to Minnesota. Some relative was getting married or something. I don't know. Some people's priorities are just all screwy. Damn, 1,000. It'd be late or early. Anyhow, so hopefully he'll be here next week, but I don't know. They're putting together that cabin up there. No, I haven't had a chance, Rock. It was in the last 4 days. I haven't even gone through all the notifications. So, yeah. I have a feeling they're going to be working their buns off on that cabin until the snow hits. They want to make that, watertight.
Which is by and large.
Yeah, blind dude. It takes time. Once you find it, it's like, woo. It's kind of annoying to me. I've got everything I need except a lot of high grade ore. Richard, the vein itself, I posted a video today so you can actually see it. It's running about 14 inches wide. We're about 3 feet or so. And then it starts pinching off down to, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches. And it's going to, it's things are so variable. Oh, I have a audio visual today. Now I have to be very careful with this because it is so soft that it's literally flaking off. Little one, can you get something out of the dirty laundry there to put on me to catch this debris? It'll grind into the carpet and do bad things.
I'm looking.
1 ounce gold and 40 silver per ton. That's pretty darn good. So anyhow, this is a chunk of rock I got this weekend. And you can see how it's got all these layers in it. Those are all from different events. You see how it changes color here and like that. And what looks like yellow in the video is not. I was just checking. But that gives you an idea how when it's put in, it's all these different events and stuff. And so it is highly variable. And let's put this over here. I think a piece dropped on the ground here. Yep. These are pretty staining. Ha ha, Chris. 27 buckets of 5 gallons and a ton of gravel, rocks, and dirt. If you fill them struck level, maybe. But anyhow, I fill them up to about 50. Can I see the gold in the rock? No. Limonite, yeah, hematite, limonite, stuff like that. I say that stuff is so soft right there. Literally, I can break it with my hands. Um, and say it's a bit frustrating. I had to get some things here. Here was the original decline. The original plan was to head down steeper like this and take a slice out, but it's pinching off now about here. So what I'm trying to do is bend the ladder track so that we come just short, maybe a foot away from where it pinches off, so that we're moving as little waste as possible. And that'll also increase our advance. Yeah, it's pretty. No difference in terms of free gold and gold in solution. No, there's a big difference. Free gold would generally mean gold particles that you can break up and recover. Free milling gold. Gold in solution means literally gold atoms in solution. And that's that's where it comes from here, and also at the mill we put it back in solution. Why did the original miners not take that material? My guess is that they picked an angle, and again, I've got a video up. Let's see if I can find black in here. Okay. You have the strata is tipped at about a 60-degree angle. These are the sedimentary layers. And my guess is that for whatever reason, they picked a particular thing and kind of followed it. Up above here, this was pretty big. It came down fairly slow, and then it went like this. They were mining a lot more material down here once you get about 15, 20 feet down. My presumption is they're maintaining a nice steady incline because the stuff beneath them isn't so extraordinarily rich, it's worth the hassle of changing the mine plan. But we have assays that are over an ounce to the ton in places. So anyhow, that's the assumption. Hello, Adam. As we get deeper, especially below the 40-foot level, it's clear that they dug into the floor, so to speak. They went below the rails. Now, that's kind of a pain in the butt to do. So that would indicate that it was pretty good. Also, the chip samples in those areas ran better too. So that's where we're trying to get down to, and we hope that there's enough in the floor to really make it worthwhile. Without doing a lot of drilling and exploration work, we're kind of guessing, but the hope is that we can have enough tonnage so that we can at least achieve break even. Right now, the grade has been our problem. We've been moving the tons, but the grade has not been enough to achieve break even. And a lot of that apparently is because the vein, even when you get, when it pinches off, it also seems to drop in grade. Annoyingly inconsistent, I know. But I was also moving a lot of quartz material that I thought was low grade, but instead it's actually basically crap. So I'm getting significant dilution, and we're kind of go from there. What's the orientation of the vein? It's vertical. That's a side view. If you turn it around, it's vertical. If you look in the, say the videos that I've been posting on this, you can see it's just straight up and down. The ore chute seems to be kind of diagonally in the vein. Aside from that, I can't really tell. But what's up above us might be running pretty good too, but it's a lot harder to mine than what's below us. I will try and maintain the ladder track along the area of pinch off there and see what happens. It's the plunge of the ore chute. The fracture continues, but the ore chute, the wide, heavily mineralized stuff, seems to be plunging fairly, and I think it may have a lot to do with the actual sedimentary layers that the fracture occurred in. I don't know. I haven't really done that much. I should be doing more work, but I'm trying to fill buckets. And I'm trying to figure it out, Rock. I say it would be nice if I could do 10 assays a trip too. We're trying to save a little money. But say we're due to budgetary stuff, it does create certain limitations as to what we can do and can't do realistically. That's why I'm trying to shallow out my angle right now and get a better ore waste ratio. Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. I say the boundary of the ore chute, the bottom boundary, seems to be kind of confined roughly parallel to the sedimentary layers, which are at about 60 degrees. And we'll see, where it goes. I'm only 25 feet down now, but by bringing that ladder track out, I will have less material per foot of advance, so we should be speeding up. Hey, Lauren, are you here? If you are, probably going to need another 5 or 10 feet of ladder track in the not too distant future, too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It may be the fracture, or it may be, as a fracture, maybe some of the things just shattered more. Yeah, we won't need it this weekend, but I may need another 5 feet of ladder track by next week. Not this coming one in 6 days, but the one after that. May be running out. I got 4 feet. Those 2-foot sections is all I got left right now. But that's a serious possibility, is that those sedimentary layers in the perpendicular vein still control it. In the pack rat structure, they clearly control it. It's abundantly clear that those sedimentary layers control the mineralization there. And not sure how we could check what's ahead of us along the pack rat structure there. The decline goes, the pack rat decline, lower decline goes, I don't know, what about another 12 feet past the 40-foot level, little one?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, something like that. And that's where we can no longer visualize it. But the structure is still there. It's dropping to sub-economic grade and it's this wide. But it could open up again real quickly. Don't know how I could tell that too easily. Um, Even if you're drilling, you're going to be kind of drilling along the structure, and that makes it very difficult to tell how wide it is. But say that's another place where you might. They definitely went to extents north and south. They went past the end of the structure, and in the specifically to the south on they went like 50 feet, looking for more, and couldn't find it. Can you see the shear fractures in the shaft? There's lots of fractures. The primary shear that I'm working on here, what we call the perpendicular vein, is pretty clearly defined by the two walls. You can see them. You take care, 1000. Thanks for showing up here. You take care. Good luck over there this winter. I'm kind of scared for you guys. But anyhow, so the original fracture plane where the perpendicular vein is emplaced is pretty well defined. And so you can look, look at the videos, and you can see those sidewalls there. They're pretty clear cut, and I mean you can see the bedding lines of the wall rock on the sidewall. And so it hasn't been crumbled and jumbled at that point. I mean, it's pretty clean. Now, that is a really good question, Chris. And the south wall, the south mass, has moved approximately 5 feet east compared to the north mast. However, there could also be a vertical component in there that I can't see. I didn't see any slicken sides. Yes, you're correct, Chris. In the long run, it would be quite important. There's a number of things I'd like to get done. But if you have, say, these are the two sides of the crack. Now, one could have moved this way, but it could equally as well moved a long way this way and just appeared to move a little bit this way. I mean, if it was sliding along this bedding plane quite a distance and then just shifted a little bit that way at the same time, it's easy to see. You know, it's like that clay seam I pointed out today's video. There's things like that where you can actually see layers and identify, okay, here's that sequence of layers and here's that sequence of layers. But whether or not it just moved 5 feet horizontally or 100 feet vertically and 95 feet horizontally, I can't tell. I'm not the geologist, Chris. I'm sure Rock could figure it out pretty quick. But that's something I'm not educated in. A clay seam will be fault gouged from the layers slipping against each other. Not sure if that's the case in this one, Rock. It could be an injection. It's a bright yellow. Looks like it has a lot of limonite in it. And it's clearly between the two sedimentary layers, which are like quartzite, dolomite, something like that. Pretty good solidly. And so I'm not sure how that clay got there, whether it was some intermediate, like a shale bed or something that has decayed over time. No, this isn't today's video. This is today's live stream. About an hour and a half ago, I posted a new video called Lengthening and Bending the Ladder Track, something to that effect. Because I added another 5-foot section and I'm changing the angle. I'm probably, in the long run, going to have to go all the way to the surface and put spacers in there, but we shall see. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe got injected into there, but it's interesting, and it goes across the vein, the perpendicular vein, also to some extent. So it's almost like it was put in there after the perpendicular vein. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Rock. It's clearly chemically different. I say the two layers, the ones I know we have in the general area are dolomite and quartzite, mainly quartzite. And quartzite doesn't usually leave bright yellow clay. So there had to be some kind of a fracture put in there at some time. And between the layers, and it's a good, reasonable spot to fracture, but I'm not sure exactly why. Oh, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, I have a query. Chris probably knows the answer to this one. Okay, Adam. You have a mountain. It's subjected to some stresses. What color we got? Black. Okay. Here's the mountain. You're looking this way on it. It's subjected to some stresses, and it breaks like that. And that's the perpendicular vein. Here's a ridge going this way, a ridge going that way. And this is the fracture that got filled with what I call the perpendicular vein. Now, if you turn this around, this is a sheet of altered rock in the mountain that goes this way. And this was the pre-existing decline, and this is what we're digging on the bottom of that. And some of what's in there looks like this, and some of it looks like this. And this is more altered wall rock here than it is vein. Any evidence of brecciation? There is some along the wall rock itself. You get brecciation into class about this big and bigger, not real small stuff. What is the relative angle and bearing of the pack rat structure? The pack rat structure would be, let's see, in this one right here, the pack rat would be about here and in that wall. Where they tunneled over, jogged 5 feet and came through, they couldn't find anything on this side of the perpendicular vein, only on that side. That's what I'm saying. If it shifted a long distance along this, but just a little bit of shift this way, then I mean, there may be pack rat way down here. Hard to tell. Yeah, it's small block Chevy. It's a 76. Got the small block 400. And the idea is replace it with a 350, but a little more modernized, so that it's got like Vortec heads and roller lifters, a few other little things, but where it'll just bolt right in. Oh yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and this is not the only similar structure on that hill. Okay, this is just the one with the most mineralization that we could find. Yeah, there's hydrothermal in there. By the way, lithium battery for my little headlight. It stopped working. Now, when we put it in the charger, it said it was discharged to a 30%, which is about normal when the light starts doing weird stuff. It says it charged up to 100%, but then when I put it back in the light, it didn't work at all. I put a different battery in the light and it worked. So presumption is there's something wrong with this battery. Presumption is this is a fully charged battery. My thought is I should probably take it for appropriate disposal at Batteries Plus. Any input on that for people who know more about these things than I do? Yeah, with that, with the truck, we're looking at a small block 350, but a bit modernized. More power, more economy. I haven't the faintest idea, Chris. It says it's a 300 milliamp hour. Oh, sorry, 3600 milliamp hour, 3.7 volts, 10 amp discharge. And I believe the number is an LIR 18650. So a nail, huh, blind dude? Well, if you want to come by and show me how it's done, that could be rather interesting. And we'll definitely have Eva video it. Yeah, I say I'm thinking it probably has an internal failure in the battery. They're only about a month old. Is there anything I should do besides throw it away? I mean, I say put it in, I don't even want to throw it in a trash can, because if I do and it catches a fire, then it could cause some serious problems. So I say I'm a little concerned. Yeah, I'm thinking it's got some kind of circuitry inside that's gone cattywampus, and I have no idea. But whatever, it's not working. Yeah, all I know is they got a lot of energy in these stupid things, and you don't want them to catch a fire because they're hell to put out. Yes, we have other batteries we put in the charger. They worked fine. They worked in the flashlight just fine. That battery, when initially put in the charger, said 0 charge, which none of them do. They always go down to minimum brightness at about 30, 35, somewhere around there. And so when my light went dim, I took it out, put a new one, put that in the charger. Came back later, it said 100%, put it in the light, nothing. Put a different battery in the light, it worked. So it's definitely a bad battery. There's something wrong with the battery here. But my thought was I hear that you can go to Batteries Plus and they have a way of safely disposing of lithium batteries. I have no idea. Yeah, I say I'm thinking take it to Batteries Plus, right, Chris? You throw it in a trash can and you could start a fire, huh? Yeah, I'm not sure. That's what happens when you buy cheapest thing on Prime. I'll try a different brand later. It may be dead. It may be, but it said 100% charged after 6 hours on the charger. So I think there's something electronically wrong with it, which makes it unpredictable.
Well, I don't like the idea of you wearing an unquenchable fire on your head.
Signing in is painful? Shouldn't need to sign in to get into this. Yeah, we had a nice little fire going there, and I was thinking, yeah, I bet you it would do interesting things, but Eva was sitting close to said fire. Yep. Lowe's accepts them, yeah. Actually, when I was a teenager, we used to buy starting ether cans and chuck them in a fire. That was kind of fun. Yeah, Eva was back to tending fire. You haven't been able to have a fire for ages, since last season, huh?
Yeah, right now I'm dealing with stink bugs, okay?
We have some kind of bugs around here. I'm not sure what they're called, but this is the season. And if you crush them, they smell badly.
Well, they smell kind of like cloves.
So
they have a weird smell.
He was busy catching them in paper towels and crushing them in, well, actually toilet paper, crushing them and chucking them in the toilet. So, anyhow. Oh, but I'm hoping that by being more selective, we can get a lot better ore grade. Catch them with duct tape. Ooh. Do I have any dowsers in the family? Not to my knowledge. Jim says he can douse, but Jim is busy right now.
There.
Uh-huh.
The other 5 I can see are too tall, too high up for me to reach.
Okay. Well, if you want to come handle the live stream.
So, warning.
Okay. I'll go get them because I got to.
If you don't kill them after live stream, you're staying up to kill them.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm not sure what they are. They may be proboscis beetles or something. Along the top of the curtains, left-hand side. No. Outside of the curtains, in the kitchen. Left-hand side. There's one right on the top of the.
There's one there.
And there's one on the curtain right in the corner.
Okay. Target identified.
Anyway, I'm assuming there's some kind of proboscis beetles or something. They only come out in fall, and when you crush them, they have a very pungent odor that's somewhere between cloves and citronella. It does not bother me, thank God. Yeah, your other left. Exactly, Rock Butcher. He has an example to show you.
Any ideas, anybody?
Anyway, we're going to go look at a claim, and I am hoping somebody will turn me on to a sapphire claim somewhere because I want some sapphires. He can keep the funny yellow stuff.
Well, Dean said something about amethyst.
So how is everybody? Yeah, you need to learn more before spending any money. Ken, I'll tell you right now, there are so many scammers right now. Yeah, we've been calling them stink bugs, Ricky. I just wanted to know what they really are. Yes, we got the dowsing rods, Paul. I haven't had a chance to try them yet. I want to try them next time we go out. But this last time it was raining, and the goddess preferred to stay relatively dry. I'm planning to play with them on the surface first. We are still working on the issue of that disgusting, scammy claim jumper, and hopefully we will have some details on that soon. Your cat won't eat them, huh? Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what the heck they actually are, but Bernice, I'm not sure where Bernice is, Dave. You haven't been there yet. I have heard Jim was talking about some that are open along the area around Lake Helena, Canyon Ferry, etc., very close to here. Hi, Ken. And yeah, I love Montana. Montana is amazing. Arizona absolutely sucks rocks. Quintessential. The quintessential apex of rock sucking. Arizona really is bad.
Why do they make mice that if you bump them against something, it clicks?
I have no idea.
There?
Yeah, of course it's still there. What else is new?
Yeah. Reloaded, same thing.
Kodak, well, let me put it this way. Picture the main library in a major metropolitan area. Can we say Tucson as an example? In the open public square outside said main library, you have a permanent encampment of extremely predatory and aggressive homeless individuals, numbering about 75. You have to run this gauntlet to get into the building, wherein you discover that because the city of Tucson decided to start putting all of their books online and never got around to it and stopped ordering physical books, your main library is about 1/3 empty. Oh, and by the way, don't even try to use the bathrooms, people. You don't want to know. And don't bother trying to get on the computers because of all the very dirty people infested with various types of parasites that are sleeping on the furniture. Picture stopping at your Circle K to get gas, holding the door open for someone, having them walk in, grab 2 cases of beer, and walk out right in front of everybody. Picture a major homeless encampment setting up in a park next to a public school, the shaded park that the children from that elementary school have been playing in, and the city of Tucson telling the children that they have to play in an unshaded parking lot or play indoors. They can't use the park anymore because the homeless people are running prostitution and drug rings. Okay. Yeah. Arizona sucks rocks. There's a good reason we moved. Okay. The rural areas are not much better. And considering there's no water and it is literally a food desert, you don't want to get stuck in a place like that when Lake Mead is reaching point of no return. You don't want to get stuck someplace where there ain't no water. You don't want to get stuck someplace where you're 60 miles north of a putative international border that is entirely open. Just saying. I mean, Arizona sucks rocks. Now, I will say the Grand Canyon is very pretty. I'm thinking perhaps somebody else should get custody of it when Arizona completely goes to hell. The Grand Canyon is very pretty.
I just had a thought. What do the Mexican drug runners do for a ride back to the border after they deliver their roads now that Border Patrol is no longer deporting them?
That's a good question because the drug dealers used to drop off, the mules used to drop off all their backpacks and drop off points in the middle of the desert. And then they would go turn themselves into the Border Patrol, get bussed up to Tucson, get a shower, a meal, get registered. And then the next day they get driven back down to the border. Just saying. Oh, man. Yeah, I can. Well, I have seen very few homeless people here in Helena. I mean, it's there. There's a very, very low population.
I think even the mendicants on the street corners are probably have housing.
Hmm. But we do have a new set of scammers here in Helena. Apparently, there's a family that has been running a gold scam in the parking lot at Walmart. They apparently have a white Ford Escalade, and they tell a sob story about, they have engine problems and all this, and the wife wants to sell the gold jewelry off her body, and the husband wants to sell his gold jewelry off the body at, extremely deeply discounted rates. And so a few people have gotten taken in. Our local coin shop has examples of the craft. I took one look at them and started laughing because I'm like, dang, I remember seeing that stuff in Nogales, Mexico more than once.
Pretty much,
Yep.
Rock.
It's all fake jewelry, and I saw most of this particular fake jewelry in Nogales, Mexico. You come down to Butte. When you get out of jail, they give you a one-way bus ticket to Butte. Well,
Huh.
I did notice there's a whole lot of them in Missoula, which I found.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Missoula anyway. Too much like a city around here. Yep, Mr. Lodak. This was, believe it or not, the guy had 22 karat stamped rings. Everybody knows you won't find a ring over 18 karat. And 18 karat is rare in a ring because, anything over 18, it's going to get wear. But it was just quite, I looked at that and I'm like, wow, that looks just like the stuff in Nogales. Very strange. Anyway, here's Professor Hardrock.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think Eva's going to have an interesting report today. The tinfoil hat report.
The goddess has not researched yet.
Better hurry.
The goddess is waiting for inspiration.
She's waiting for inspiration.
Oh, Joe Biden claimed he was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community in
Really?
Delaware.
Interesting.
Was this before or after he drove an 18-wheeler?
Who knows?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Before Corn Pop?
I think it might have been around the Corn Pop time. After all, Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah, John. Yeah, it's been interesting. I think the best way to defend is counterattack.
Did you get all of them or just some of them?
Yeah, we're doing okay here, Ricky. We weren't involved, Artie. I say we don't. Yeah, trying to scam Eva is pretty hopeless. But yeah, so the whole situation internationally is looking positive for the precious metals, in my opinion. What was the latest? Silver was up 7% and gold up 2% today.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So she's got a pretty interesting report, and yeah, it's pretty bizarre. Absolutely, I think that's good for the prices of the metals. Not necessarily good for anything else. I think it's just starting, Dave. Um, get to work. Smoking. Work is a 4-letter word.
The smoking swearing again.
Apparently so. Interesting, Rock. Rock says markets for raising money for gold jobs are softening here in North America, but are still raging overseas. Yep.
By the way, you missed a couple there.
I got the 2 you mentioned.
I'm climbing around in the sink.
Well, those you can reach. Well, North America, you got so much regulatory biases. I'm guessing that if you wanted to get permitted for lithium, they go, ooh, green energy, here you go. But if you wanted to do anything else, yeah, good luck.
Well, somebody released a study that showed that making cryptocurrency is far more energy intensive than mining gold.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. They just reopened Golden Sunlight, huh? Okay, Dave.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's that one down there by, was it Whitehall? Down there. Okay, Lauren says they are called juniper bugs, little one.
Okay, well, they don't really smell like juniper, but I'll take your word for it, Lauren. I mean, they don't smell bad, at least.
Yeah, ask Eva during the tinfoil hat report, John. She's been keeping an eye on a lot of stuff.
What?
I'm hearing large institutions are really starting to buy gold big time.
Mm-hmm. Not as many as should be.
That's nice, Rock. How often is this podcast? Every Monday, 6 o'clock, Montana time. And quite often we have Miner Jim here too. He's a professional placer miner. So he's very good when we're asking placer mining stuff. Although if you look, Rock Butcher there, just above you, Ken, he's got decades of experience in mineral exploration. Lauren's got years in mining. Chris Georgie is a really smart guy. And I wouldn't wait too much, John. I think we're pretty much at the bottom right now. Wait till you listen to her report.
Actually, I have something to say about that.
Go ahead then.
Not what you're thinking.
Yeah, and that's it, Ken. If you have a question, throw it out there because we got some smart people here. But that's it's looking interesting out there to me. But it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 5 feet of advance because in this decline here, right ahead of us, they went wall to wall. And I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it was just unstable and they just pulled it out for stability. Ken, were you the gentleman that called me earlier today? Because he was also a lowly electrical engineer, although I wouldn't call so lowly considering some of the things he was working on. But yeah, we do this every Monday. Okay. Yeah, Ken. If you have any questions about anything, say Rock Butcher is one. He's the guy that really knows his exploration. Ken has a claim in Montana here, and he wanted me to look at some information and something like that. So, yes, he is, Flash. So, I say, the you know the dynamics of exploration and financing are not my specialties. What angle do you sharpen your rock chisels at? Typically a little bit about 60 degrees, but they don't they don't stay that very long. I beat the bejesus out of them against the rock with that demo hammer. I don't do much in the way of cold chiseling, except when I'm taking samples. Usually demolition hammer. So I say that's hopefully this is some pretty good ore. We shall see. The ore is a lot easier to dig than the waste, though, in general. Although some of the waste is pretty shattered. That works pretty well. I don't care if I can just bust it and hoist it. Hoisting it, throwing it over the dump is a lot quicker than hoisting it, sending it down the high line, hauling it down to the trailer, and stacking it on the trailer. You got some concrete you need to make into smaller pieces. Well, how thick is the concrete? Because quite often a sledgehammer will do a pretty good job on anything less than 4 inches or less. It'll bust up. We were taking out a sidewalk a while back, and once I got the channel cut all the way across the sidewalk, I pried it up and then whack it with a sledgehammer. No problem. Now found super rich gold vein. Well, my adventure, how rich is super rich? Do you have any assays or anything like that? Yeah, I say if it's a sidewalk, it'll generally break along the expansion joints. So once you get a slice cut across it, you just put a big pry bar under there, pry it up, and then just whack it in the middle with a sledgehammer. Instantly, chunks big enough to throw into a trailer. Yeah, okay. Well, if you're throwing it in I say, sledgehammer works pretty good if it's not too thick. If it's thick, then life gets a little tougher. Electric demolition hammer will do a pretty good job on ordinary concrete. Some of the higher strength stuff, especially if it's got rebar in it, not so much. Yeah, I would think you wouldn't want anything about 8 or 10 inches. Not too many in any one load either. Yeah, roughly. Gold sluice. A cold chisel basically works fine. Yeah, I don't have any with me, but basically just like a cold chisel. That'll work fine. But again, if it's 4 inches thick, say just pry it up if you can, or just undermine it a little bit. Just gets so it's not really thoroughly supported, And then just whack it with a good 8-pound sledgehammer. It'll break real fast that way. Yeah, we were just demolishing it in a big hurry. The trick is just getting that first cut across there so where you can start prying the slabs up. For that, I needed the demolition hammer. Concrete around posts. Can you jack the posts out of the ground first? Because if it's bedding for posts, if you can get them out of the ground, then it makes it a lot easier to bust it up. Yeah,
if you can get it out of the ground and you want to save the post, you lay the chisel or your demolishing tool along the post and come in from the top.
Yeah, or a steel post, just smack it, lay it on the ground and smack it from the side with a sledgehammer. You know, so if you got something that you can just hoist them out of the ground as is, you know, and they're tough enough that you can do that. Yeah, get them out of the ground and then break it. Be a lot easier. If you can't do that, yeah, electric demolition hammer and chisel both sides, make a split, pull the post out, break it up. But yeah, it's a lot harder to break it in the ground. Yeah, if it's metal posts. You say you got something special like a bobcat, just put a clove hitch with a chain and blink. High lift jack will often work. That is correct. You know. Although sometimes you have to have a couple of blocks on each side and then a beam across there to put their jack on so you can get it up. You could use feathers and wedges. I'll say I've usually let's see. Cold chisel. Cold chisel angle. Cold chisels should be sharpened at an angle of around 30 degrees. If the angle is too shallow, the chisel will slip and slide. If it's too steep, the chisel will dig and get stuck. Once you've checked the angle, take a look at the cutting edge itself. So the main sides of the cold chisel are about 30 degrees. And then I believe the cutting edge is about 60 degrees. Let's see. Maintain a 45-degree angle between the grinding wheel and the cutting edge of the cold chisel. More or less is liable.
Yeah.
Try and replicate the factory grind by moving the chisel back and forth horizontally.
60 is way too steep there.
I believe 60 is exactly what a cold chisel is, but I'm not sure. Teenager and a big hammer. Yes, John wins. Let's see. Got to convince them that it's some kind of video game. Paul Coover says, hey, Eva, practice inside in a piece of silver first and see how they do. I found 2 ounces of silver today buried by an old tree. Sweet.
Cool.
Rock Butcher says, I'll bring my son over. He works for hot dogs. Sounds reasonable. Like the pay scale. If he eats too many, does he stop working? Do you need to ration them out? Inquiring minds want to know. Do you have to go from hot dogs up to Frankfurter and then maybe bratwurst.
You provide the hot dogs after the labor is done.
Oh, after the labor. Ah, sneaky. Yeah, Rock says after 3 or so, he might slow down. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. See, my thought is, this is what you give him while he's working, and then the hot dogs when he's done. But anyhow, so let's see. We also did something to kind of hopefully mess up the claim jumper who's trying to sell a claim staked on our claim. And that was we went down to the county recorder's office and filed, basically we sent him a dispute letter. This is our second dispute letter. But we also recorded a copy of it linked to his claim name at the county recorder's office. So anyone doing their due diligence to see, was a claim recorded at blah, 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 will see, wow, there's a dispute going on here. One can hope. I say, it is so funny because there's something he did with the paperwork critically that means it's simply invalid on the face of it. No, we didn't, John. And I say it's one of those things where it's just confused, but we're not encouraged by his forthrightness, shall we say. But yeah, pretty hilarious.
Scammer and a bully.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was pretty hilarious when we got the copy of his claim document, looked at it, and it's like, interesting. Completely invalid. Hey, AAA. 190 mile per hour winds. Where were you at? Goodness gracious. That's like a tornado.
I was going to say, he was where there was a tornado that just happened not to be tornadoing.
Very large tornado called in.
Well.
Yeah, the problem is, John, it's a civil offense. Yep. Hey, Shaggy. Auburndale, Florida is where Jeff is. You got 155 miles an hour. Good Lord. Oh, by the way, Shaggy, I was thinking last thing when you were signing off or whatever, AKA. See? You could be like a gangsta, you know? Well, Ken, that's the thing, is they usually don't. It's usually just paper filing, but unless somebody's willing to spend the money to take it to court and has a reasonable expectation they're going to be able to get the money out of them, why bother doing it? And that's what they count on, lethargy. I'm thinking that if somebody buys a claim from someone who doesn't actually own a claim, yeah, AAA, I saw some of the pictures of Fort Myers. That was a mess.
Good grief. Fort Myers was awful.
Smoking says he thinks the next hurricane should be called Eva.
The next one has to begin with a J. I'm thinking Jerome.
Eva says Jerome. Let's see what happens.
We have to name him after J. Pow.
Yeah.
After all, Hell, it reached economic devastation.
Yeah, AAA says they were right on the edge of the eye. 190 miles an hour. My gosh.
Holy.
I hope everyone is okay, AAA. You know, family's the important thing. Everything else can be replaced or left. You know. Yes, Ken, the BLM just wants their 150 a year. They do not get involved. They specifically said so. When I asked the Montana Bureau of Mines about some specific questions on claim staking, you know, technical details like, you know, size of the post, etc. If it's not these specific sizes, is it valid or not? He was not allowed to give an opinion. Now, if you had an ore body that you wanted an opinion on, he could do that, but nothing useful. Yeah.
Well, of course not.
It's just amazing how the lawyers have got everything all screwed up. Oh,
Bear, you sweet summer child, you actually think the federal government or any government is working in your interest?
it seems pretty clear they aren't anymore. You know, I don't know if they were at any particular time. From my studies of ancient writings like Mark Twain, I kind of suspect that they never were.
Of course they weren't.
But yeah, I say it's an interesting situation, and of course it's filed in the name of an LLC. Gee, I wonder why he wants limited liability.
Well, cheer up. When we win,
Okay.
we can name him and shame him until the end of time.
Little one, Kodak, John, says the Greeks had it correct. What quote is he talking about? It must have to do something about government.
Labe.
No, I heard one. I don't know who it was. It was kind of ancient. Whatever. It says they hang the petty crooks.
That's Aesop. They hang the petty thieves. They elect the big ones to office.
Yeah. The hurricane pushed a lot of rain up here in Montana as well. I don't know if that had anything to do with the hurricane, but it did get a little damp. Oh, yeah, Shag. Yeah, they just got horribly rototilled. It looks horrendous. Ken C says Yellowstone went up an inch or two. Jeff says there's no flood insurance and no flood on your car either. You mean you didn't have flood insurance or it's not available? That's an interesting thought, John. Give Washington, D.C. to the Russians.
Actually, I'm in favor of turning Washington into what it was meant to be, an uninhabited district with nothing but government buildings that people commute to.
How about if they don't, if nobody just goes there? It's just empty, a ghost town.
Hey, I want to go to the Smithsonian once we get rid of all the people that are there.
Yeah. Now the fishing sucks. I don't know. Last week, my brother and I did pretty good. We were down below Hauser Dam, and we were hooking the rainbows pretty consistently. You know, 2 pounders, probably about average. Sometimes down to a pound. Sometimes about 3. Randy almost caught like about a 5 pounder, but it threw the hook before he got it in. But yeah, we had a good time. We got over several days, probably a couple dozen fish. Hey, Dan, how's it going? So, yeah, I don't know. Yep, we shall see what we shall see, but still working on the as I last week I didn't get crap done mining because my brother was here. So we went fishing, and I haven't seen him in years. They say after a hurricane is a good time to go beach metal detecting. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of trash on that beach.
Well, it is a good time.
Yeah.
We used to find all kinds of cool stuff in Massachusetts when we had hurricanes up there.
Shaggy, did we have fun in the rain this week? I wouldn't call it fun, but I got some video posted about an hour and a half ago, 2.5. Getting better. I felt a little, I didn't feel up 100% this weekend. So I don't think I'm really completely recovered yet, but it wasn't too bad. We cannot pay the Russians enough to take DC. There's not enough money in the US, even with the Dems running the printing. Teenager struggles with boys here. Lots of tears, huh? They won't cover, huh? Well, that's about right, Jeff. Insurance is always there for the payments, but never there for the payouts, huh? Yeah, getting better, Dan.
Exactly.
Kodak, I keep them when Eva wants something to eat. I'm not really a big trout fan. What do you call it? Randy did catch a walleye that we, of course, brought home. Uh-oh. I think it's silver helmet. Yeah, well, big trout are not the best meat, Rock. They usually, around here, they call them smokers. That's about it.
Big trout, no. You want pan-sized, caught in winter. Just my personal, The big ones, the big ones are all right smoked. That I will say. Hi, everybody. My, this is shaping up to be an interesting week now, isn't it? So we're going to open with a quote from my favorite person, if I can find it again. Our dear friend Thomas Jefferson. I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale. TJ knew what was up. Hi, Shaggy. Well, in mining news, not a whole heck of a lot is actually going on at the moment. Well, there was this little coup thing that happened in Burkina Faso, but the perpetrators of said coup have informed the world that mining is not going to be impacted. So, okay. And in Zimbabwe, the government is talking about placing a 50% royalty on all metals mined in the country. Their release of a gold coin for legal tender turned out to be extraordinarily popular in the 1 ounce size. So they're now looking at releasing some fractionals and releasing more gold coins so that their people can avoid the $10 trillion notes that pass for money otherwise in the country. In other news, financially speaking, the Turkish government said that their rate of inflation is officially 83%, and so they cut the interest rates on loans. Government economists and studies show that the interest rate is actually 186%, but, who's going to quibble over a small 100% difference is really nothing at this point.
It's just a one.
In other news, the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations have told the Western nations that you shouldn't be increasing interest rates on loans because that's going to cause problems for developing nations that want to borrow money. Okay. So that's the way that is going. We'll look at some more financial stuff in a few minutes because the financial meltdown could have a very paradoxical and interesting effect on our gold and silver prices. But in the meantime, U.S. coal prices climb past $200 as global energy crunch boosts demand. Global coal prices, U.S. coal prices, surged past $200 for the first time as a global energy crunch drives up demand for the dirtiest fossil fuel. Spot prices for coal from Central Appalachia rose to $204.95 a ton for the week ending September 30th, the highest in records dating to 2005, according to data released Monday by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Coal remains a leading fuel in the U.S. power plants, and the soaring prices will ratchet up pressure on U.S. homes already struggling with record high electricity bills. There's more news on that in a minute. About 20 million households across the country, or about 1 in 6, have fallen behind on their utility bills, according to the National Energy Assistance Directors Association. Coal prices began surging as economies around the world recovered from pandemic lockdowns. Driving up energy for electricity faster than coal miners and natural gas producers could boost supplies for power plants. That was exacerbated when Russia's war in Ukraine upended energy markets, and power plant demand for coal and natural gas has continued to rise amid record summer heat. Meanwhile, coal producers are running at full tilt and have little ability to boost output. Even if they could, clogged supply chains means they would have trouble delivering the additional tons. All of that is putting steady upward pressure on prices, which have surged to records in the US, Asia, and Europe. Now, in that regard, some of us may have noticed that Lord Malarkey has stopped talking about gas prices falling, plummeting under his wonderful, enduring, and amazing leadership, because they're going up again. As a matter of fact, in some parts of California, they're topping $8 a gallon. Naturally, Governor Newsom is prepared to deal with this. He is sending select Californians $1,000 or so to help cover the additional costs. We're not going to try and figure out where that money comes from. No point in trying to figure that out at all. In other energy news, in the northeastern United States, several utility companies have gotten permission to increase their electricity and fuel and heating costs by up to 46%. So that's not looking very good either. This is going to be a very cold winter. I do hope you all have long johns. The goddess naturally has long johns because, it's a goddess
Hello
thing.
Kitty.
Yes. We are not done for the season yet, Ricky. No, I have not yet figured out the resin problem, but I am working on it. And yeah, Shaggy, Canada pays $9 a gallon. It does not surprise me in the least. I can understand that, actually. We are coming into a very unusual financial meltdown here. For those who may not have noticed, other than the UN and the IMF saying that countries in the West should not be raising interest rates, they should in fact be lowering interest rates because otherwise developing nations can't borrow money. Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank are both showing very, very problematic balance sheets. The counterparty risks are rising rather badly. And just so you know, for those who follow the reverse Kramer index, Jim Cramer says our economy is stronger than ever. Credit Suisse is amazing. Buy. And I believe he means actually buy their stock, as it's now around $3 a share. Oh, and Disney is set to rocket. So let us have a moment of silence for Credit Suisse and the mouse.
Rocket
Okay.
like a space shuttle?
We had a moment of silence. The Bank of England is having a few difficulties. They have had to bail out their bond markets because they were hours away from what one banker euphemistically termed a Lehman moment. That's not good. But the CEO of Bear Stearns said none of this is a problem. So Jim Cramer and the CEO of Bear Stearns both agree. So that's just the way that's going. And people wonder why the goddess does not trust banks. Just saying. As to how this is going to affect gold and silver, as we saw today, some interesting things happen in the market. The dollar looked unusually soft. Quite a shocker there. U.S. treasuries were looking unusually soft. I mean, considering the way they've jacked the rates on them in the last couple of weeks, you'd think people would be buying them like crazy. For some bizarre and unaccountable reason, this is not happening. So gold and silver both had a pretty decent bump today. Gold is up to just under $1,700 an ounce, and silver closed at $20.63 an ounce, according to Kitco. So a lot of people are wondering if silver and gold are finally going to shoot for the moon. Well, I don't think it's going to happen just yet. As a matter of fact, the goddess is pretty darn sure that if the ever-increasing counterparty risk on very, very too big to fail banks gets worse and those banks have to be bailed out, gold and silver are probably going to go in the toilet. But here's the funny part. They're going to go in the toilet for a very short time. Once the banks have bought the gold that they need to cover their particular paper, then gold and silver will start to go up. The paper markets have been looking ridiculous. For those who watch COMEX, we can all celebrate the fact that COMEX is now holding less than 41 million ounces of physical silver. All of the open interests on that silver come out to 1,500% of the registered. All of the short-term open interests on that silver come out to over 5 times the entire physical silver that they supposedly own. The goddess is mildly confused by this. But it does seem quite interesting that the COMEX is as low as it is. And there's no sign of registered making any significant moves upward. In terms of what's happening in retail silver and gold on the street, for those who are not in the UK, since the pound started crashing and the government went a little nuts over there, the British Royal Mint website has had a constant queue that is usually several hundred people long waiting to get in to shop. And for those who are interested, once you get in there to shop, everything is sold out and not going to be delivered for months and months. Bear in mind, in the UK and in most of Europe, gold does not have a VAT tax on it. Silver does have a VAT tax, and it's a pretty damn hefty one. Yet, somehow it's all getting sold out. And apparently, bullion dealers on the street in the UK and in other parts of Europe are closing their shops because they've run out of stock and they can't get any more in both gold and silver. Now, you would think that if you have a choice between buying fractional gold with no 23%, 25% VAT, or buying silver with 23 or 25% VAT, you'd be buying some gold. Well, people are buying both, and they're buying them in huge quantities. There's also a lot of anecdotal reports showing up in various sources that I follow along of people's local coin shops like ours being really low on stock. Really thin on the ground out there. Getting hard to get generic rounds. Getting hard to get reasonable size bars. So the average person is beginning to buy up the silver and the retail gold. The banks are buying up the big gold because, first of all, they have Basel III to contend with. Second of all, they know that when the paper market finally crashes and price discovery begins, they're going to have to cover all of their paper somehow. And that's going to be a little difficult. It's going to be a lot easier for them to cover their paper if the price doubles if they buy it all now. They're not going to manage it anyway because there is too much paper. There has been too much paper. The goddess obviously disapproves of paper in general. The only use for fiat currency, of course, is to turn it into real money, silver and gold. And gold and silver, okay, since everybody here seems to like that stupid yellow stuff, are on sale at the moment, so this is a good time to buy. Just saying, yeah, a reasonable amount of gold, more than you can carry. And no, solar and wind power ain't going to heat our houses. Speaking of solar, wind, and energy and all that stuff, the goddess is fairly sure that everyone has been watching the kerfluffle surrounding a couple of pipelines that accidentally managed to kind of sort of get themselves blown up through some strange, unaccountable act of somebody. Some former defense minister of Poland tweeted out on the issue and thanked the United States. CNN and the media have all been merrily blaming Vlad, the invader, who's a real madman, I will say that. Consensus of opinion in the man on the street is that Lord Malarkey's handlers probably had something to do with this. Now, the goddess still believes that eco-terrorists are probably involved in here somewhere as well, because eco-terrorists like to do eco-terrorist type things. But regardless, Europe is going to have an extremely bad winter. And Germany in particular, already we're seeing reports that refineries and smelters are significantly scaling back operations due to a lack of energy. It should be noted that 18 out of 21 major silver smelters are located in Germany. That's not going to help the industrial silver side of things. It's also not going to help that great green agenda because you need a whole lot of silver for that great green agenda. You need a whole lot of copper too. But there's difference between silver and copper that look like this and the silver and copper that you can use to make wiring and solar panels and stuff. Very intensive business, the refining of metals. And that very intensive business is slowing down drastically worldwide because of these higher energy costs. It's going to come to a stop in a lot of places. Already, German newspapers are reporting that thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands of small and medium-sized businesses that make things, not just sell things, are going to be temporarily closing their doors. Hack, one of the largest canned and jarred veggie and food producers in the northern part of Europe, is taking a 6-week vacation due to energy prices. So the whole business of eating Z bugs and taking cold showers in the dark is beginning to look a whole lot more realistic at the moment. This is not good at all. Just saying, not just saying. What this means to us in terms of precious metals is, yes, when the great financial meltdown starts, it's a pretty sure bet that gold and silver are going to temporarily take another drastic plunge, along with every other metal, because first of all, nobody can afford to refine the stuff at the moment. Second of all, nobody's got money to buy it. Third of all, well, there's that whole business of shipping containers, the amount of ocean-going freight dropping by 20% in the last month. Little things like that. However, that is when the institutional players are going to be trying to get their hands on everything they can get. Because when price discovery starts and people start wanting to cash in all of that paper that they have and turn it into actual silver and gold, it's going to be a bloodbath. It may even be an actual bloodbath as opposed to just a metaphorical or financial one, which is why this is when normal, sane people back up the truck, buy the metals regardless, and hold them. This is not a time to be selling anything. Not that one should be selling real money anyway. Because it's interesting to see the same banks that last year were saying we could see $3,000 gold and, $50, $60, $70 silver are now talking recession and talking economic slowdown, but still saying in some places $3,000 gold, $50, $60 silver. It's interesting to see Robert Kiyosaki, the great huckster who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, by the way, is not a very well written book. The Goddess could have written just as good. Actually, probably better. Yeah, probably better. Is also touting silver on Twitter to his very, very, very large following. Quite bizarre. Gold is the money of governments and the money of banks. There's a really good reason for that. I mean, after all, it's a lot easier to store. It's a much larger store of wealth in a much smaller package than silver. Silver has always been the money of knights and gentlemen and the common person. Barter is the money of debtors. And by the way, credit is the money of slaves, if you want to look up the original quotation on that issue. So, just saying. If anybody out there raises chickens, you might find this interesting. I talked to a friend of mine and I heard something that was so shocking that the goddess just kind of
Exclaimed.
Luckily I was sitting down when I heard this fact. At the moment, there are major chicken producers in the United States that are taking chickens from hatch to harvest in 52 days. Yes, 52 days. This explains why the goddess's last 10-pound bag of chicken leg quarters had 12 quarters plus a drumstick in it. Anyone who has ever raised chickens should understand implicitly just how much of a crisis this issue is. So the goddess is once again telling you, if you happen to like our feathered friends on your dinner table, chicken, turkey, duck, or otherwise, you really want to buy some extra to put in the freezer right now. Because 52 days from hatch to harvest is not good at all. It's actually beyond not good. It's pretty much unsustainable levels of not good here. This is double plus ungood here. We are moving into critical territory when it comes to chickens. Which also, by the way, means we're moving into critical territory when it comes to pet food. Very much so. Something to consider if you have a few of man's best friends hanging around the house or some cats. Because that's not sustainable for our hatcheries at all. Not that Lord Malarkey and company are addressing this in any way, shape, or form, because they never did do anything about that livestock feed crisis that we have been facing for several months and has gotten worse. Though why I expect our government to do anything that could even remotely benefit the American people, well, I suppose the goddess is just a cockeyed optimist in this regard. But yes, when you back up the truck to the local coin shop to load up on your gold and silver, also back up the truck to your local supermarket and start loading up on chickens and eggs. Because this is not good. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. Just saying, Yeah, fryers. They're not even fryers anymore, Chris. You realize that a standard roaster 2.5 years ago used to average 3 to 4 pounds. A standard roaster now averages 1.5 pounds. That is just ridiculous. Smoking, they are pullet sized. Exactly, Chris. My local fryers right now are averaging 1 3/4 max. My local rotisseries are averaging 1 3/4 max. Okay. Most of them are now 1.5 pounders. That means they are beyond replacement rate. Okay. This is not good at all here. David, sorry, I have eaten many things, including part of a seagull and a seagull lake. I'm not going to eat a pigeon. Okay? Pigeons, no.
They taste like duck.
Maybe if I raised them myself, I would consider the idea. But the ones that kind of fly around here, no, thank you.
We have a couple at the mine.
Rock butcher, I would love to try some grouse. I'm a big fan of grouse. Okay? I'm a big fan of pheasant. I'm a big fan of goose. Big fan of duck. Not much of a fan of turkey, but if I see a 20-pounder this week, we're buying it and canning it. Yeah, if you get them out in the country, Chris. We do have some out by the mine. Kodak, I have been telling Professor Hardrock here that I want goose.
I keep thinking that one of Matt's air rifles would work really good on a goose.
But at any rate, it would not surprise me at all to see a slump in metals prices that is extremely temporary before discovery finally starts. It would also not surprise me at all to see Credit Suisse actually need a bailout, which would be very amusing since Credit Suisse's debt sheet is 10 times the entire GDP of the nation of Switzerland at the moment. So for a too big to fail bank, I don't know who's going to be bailing them out, except perhaps our American banks. Speaking of which, somebody did the math on this business of the fines that JP Morgan and Bank of America got hit with for manipulating the markets. Remember that? Well, they're both still manipulating the markets, of course. And when you do the math, it turns out that the amount they were fined versus the amount they made comes out to
10%?
Oh, no.
Oh.
It comes out to the equivalent of somebody who earns $100,000 a year paying a $100 fine.
Ooh.
Be still my beating heart. So not only are they not banned from the industry, not only are they still actively manipulating the metals markets, though both of them have been hit with multiple fines for doing so, but the fines they got hit with are so laughably small that it doesn't even amount to a slap on the wrist. It amounts to a wink and a nod. And people wonder why the goddess says, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Because it's true. And in other interesting news, several studies are now indicating that the mining of cryptocurrency is actually significantly more energy intensive than the mining of gold or silver for that matter. So it should be interesting to see how our various governments that are now touting the non-private central bank digital currencies manage to convince us that this is actually green, because they're going to try. You know, just saying. And yes, Rock Butcher, our American banks have been on shaky ground for decades. But I will tell you, the balance sheets on Credit Suisse and Deutsche are looking worse than 2008, which is kind of a little bit bizarre. Many things at the moment are looking worse than 2008. Do not even try to figure out what's going on with American banks, people, because public service announcement for those who have missed it. As per the U.S. Department of Commerce and several other government agencies, including the Treasury, United States banks are no longer required to keep any cash reserves on hand at all, ever. So your bank may have zero fiat in it at any given time, just so you know. And furthermore, the Federal Deposit Insurance Company, you know, that nice FDIC thing, the one that says they insure your account up to $250,000. Well, they're currently on target to increase the amount of money that they keep to cover those accounts up to 1.35% over the next 5 years. Yes, indeed, folks. The FDIC tells you that they will cover your bank account up to $250,000 if your bank fails. Well, the only problem with that is they don't have the money. They only have 1.3% of deposits covered. They're trying to increase that to 1.35% of deposits covered. Oh, they have said, though, that of course they can probably borrow some money from Congress. Well, Congress doesn't have any money either, technically. So who would they be borrowing the money from to pay you back? Well, let's see. The Federal Reserve or the taxpayers, because it all comes back to the same place. So the goddess's friendly reminder that this is a really, really good reason not to keep the fiat in the bank. Just saying. Bye.
Hi, Sin. How's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. I agree, Blind Sight. It's looking to me like it's going to be a heck of a mess. I'm glad I'm not in Europe right now. Ed, I'm thinking that a war ain't going to solve this one. Well, not unless you think getting rid of half the people is a solution. Let's say I found it interesting to peruse Putin's speech he gave on the 1st. That's
Mod Vlad the Invader gave an amazing speech. Look it up.
Yep. Yeah, Dan. Gold Pandan says Europe is what happens when you take your energy policy from a teenage girl. Yeah, pretty much. No, it's every week when you think it couldn't get any worse, it manages to do so. So, hey, Pokerface. We did notice that the farms have a good harvest of hay this year, which is good. And we do have lots of cows around here.
Our hay crop was exceptional. Our alfalfa crop was really good. The range is looking good, and all our cattle are on market curve.
Tunneling at the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but it was funny when we were out at the mine this week. It's like, well, will nuclear war have started by the time we get back? uh, yeah. Nobody seems to be putting the brakes on any of this stuff. And the policies that would make sense are not openly being considered. So, in the intermediate term, I see chaos, which in the long term should be good for gold and silver, and food, and highly refined lead and brass.
For those who have land, raise chickens and rabbits. They're your best return on the investment.
Well, it depends on what you've got on the land that they can eat.
Yeah.
Rabbits, yeah, alfalfa is good for rabbits. You could probably raise good grazing for rabbits without too much trouble. Chickens, well, they like to eat the bugs.
Oh, yeah. Chickens are omnivores. In fact, they're more carnivore when given an opportunity.
So if I eat chickens, would I be eating the bugs? I could live with that. Jeff wants to know, what do you think copper will do?
Copper, this is really going to be an energy issue and a refining issue because a lot of the copper companies are scaling back at the moment. I believe that copper is going to continue to be suppressed, and the current recession that's becoming a depression is going to lead to doldrums in long-term prices because, construction is grinding to a halt in a lot of places. Well, yeah, the mongoose would kill them all.
I like that, Rob.
Now, the question is, are mongoose edible? If so, what do they taste like? Just wondering.
Blind sight.
And yes, new solar tech uses more copper than silver, but if we go into a worldwide depression, the solar tech's going to go out the window for a while. During a worldwide depression like we had in the 20s and 30s, we're going to see a real slowdown in general industry. But at the end of it, copper has to come up because if they really want to push this green agenda, and if they even want to continue the level of technology we have now, we need those metals coming out of the ground. And we also need them being effectively recycled. They're not effectively recycled at the moment.
Yeah, blind sight.
Like a giant squirrel, but much, much smarter. Cool.
Yep.
Squirrel is stringing it out.
This whole obsession with getting Putin and the way the media is being manipulated, it's clearly deliberate, orchestrated, and in my opinion, suicidal for the West. Putin holds all the cards here, in my opinion, and these people have no reverse gear.
Never stop your enemy when they're making a mistake.
I say it's insane, the monomaniacal way they're going after him. I do find it interesting to,
especially since they're ignoring China,
compare the press reports compared with other reports. And hey, Rock, I will I'll have to wager something on that there. Is he clutching at straws trying to stay alive? Only if he doesn't go all out, because the Russians are chomping at the bit to blow away some Ukrainians. You know, the reports I'm getting from the Russians indicate that Putin is taking it too easy for their taste. When you hear the Ukrainians advanced and they took 1,000 square kilometers, which they did. There was 2,000 Russians against 15,000 Ukrainians. And while taking very light losses themselves, the Russians managed to kill 2,000 Ukrainians. Now, you may call that a win for Ukraine. I call that kind of a Pyrrhic victory. Say the Russian battle plan seems to be we don't care about territory. We'll be happy to give, take, move, retreat, etc., as long as it gets the enemy in our kill zone with the artillery. They love to use artillery. And they don't call it the king of battle for nothing. And one thing you can't do is put artillery on your own people. Okay, Rock. Yeah, UK estimates, exactly. We shall see.
We're trusting the UK government.
Yeah. I know you were infantry, Rock. Where were you at? Where were you stationed? Was it combat or I'm just curious as to what your actual experience is. Appears the Ruski generals are incompetent. There is possibility on some of that, yes. Agreed. Say if you can give me some idea of your experience, Rock, I'd be interested. I was never in the military. Okay. I've studied it, but I've never been in it. Two PPCLI Mobile Infantry Airborne Platoon Commander. Excellent, excellent, Rock. Do you trust the United States government or the British government to give us accurate statistics? Okay, that's what I'm asking. In this particular case, or is it more like the body counts in Vietnam sort of thing? I don't know.
I don't trust our government to tell anything accurate to anybody.
I think that's a little high on the KIA, Chris. But I will go at least 10,000 KIA. Okay. I'm thinking that the Russians are very annoyed. I mean, the Russian people are very annoyed that the full force and power of Russia is not being brought to bear on the situation.
Well, all I will say is Mad Vlad the Invader gave a dang good speech.
Yep.
Regardless.
And I say, I have a feeling that while Russia has taken a beating, the Ukrainians are taking a worse beating, and they have a lot fewer people. I say, when you're taking, I don't know, 3 or 4 to 1 casualties, and you've got a smaller army to begin with, I'm not sure what that means, David. Did you just accidentally hit your keyboard? They didn't forcibly, they just called up reserves. Again, you've got 10,000 people running from the country because they don't want to be conscripted, and 10 times that lining up to be conscripted. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something more pleasant.
Yeah. As I say, it'll be interesting to see. I've heard about Russia collapsing for 5 months now.
Let's talk about something more pleasant. Like, can anyone think of some really good revenge tactics to use against the scam and claim jumper?
Yeah. But anyhow, we shall see. And I have a feeling in a fairly short period of time here, Rock. To some extent, possibly. Blindsight. Adam, possibly. All I know is the Europeans are the ones that are going to pay the price for this whole shenanigans. Boris Johnson told, Ukraine, no, you can't take the deal with the Russians in March. And then here we are. So we shall see. But anyhow, it does affect everything. But I'm more worried about 1,000 over there in Austria than over here.
Oh, and by the way, OPEC is going to be reducing their oil.
And OPEC is cutting production
by about 1 million barrels.
Yeah. By the way, the Middle East is not terribly stable either. So who knows what's going to happen over there. It's interesting times, folks, which makes it all the more interesting that the price of precious metals is going down. That's the plan. That is their plan, Ed. I agree. I'm not sure that plan is going to work out so well. We'll see. I hope it doesn't. But I could be wrong. That gets into the realm of murky down the road here. But yeah, it's interesting. I agree, John. How do you work together if you're not on the same page? And that is really an important principle. When everyone is disagreeing on the facts, they certainly can't agree on the policy. And so corrupting the information stream, two things. Number one, of course, you promulgate the propaganda that supports the policies that you wish, i.e. global warming, etc., for example. But it also divides the populace so that you don't have a coherent, large-scale mass of people you're having to try and push around. And that is one of the things that, I mean, from the standpoint of, let us say, CNN, what do they gain by being dishonest? I can't see much. As a news reporter, if you are not reporting truth, then people have much less reason to pay any attention to you, which I think is what's happening. I think that's what's going to happen, Paul, but we shall see. Ed, yeah, and I think they're getting more so. And the term rightfully makes a lot of sense to me. If you want to go around meddling in other people's business and making their lives suck, then don't be surprised if they get mad at you. Absolutely. But as I say, yes, to a great extent, Rock, you are correct. I would say I was watching particular things on that Ukraine thing today where I was looking at both sides. And while the facts might have been essentially the same, in other words, you could reconcile both viewpoints to a particular set of facts that would be coincident with both things, the spin was night and day, you know? Blindside, I think that maybe Jordan Peterson is about the best we got. The people who enter psychology tend to be the craziest people amongst us as a group. That's why they're into psychology, because they're not normal. But occasionally you get a very rational psychologist, and my personal belief is Jordan Peterson is. He's also very eloquent. I love the way the guy uses English. You know, when does the gold rush start? A lot of people, it's already started because people are looking ahead and they're saying, whoa, this doesn't end well. Mining claims are up in Montana a lot. BLM is way behind. And this is important because if you're relying on BLM to tell you whether or not the particular land you're looking at is open or already claimed in Montana, you can be radically wrong.
It's not just Montana. It's gone way up in other states too.
Eva says the same thing in other states.
The gold rush is already on, which is why the goddess says, back up the trucks and buy.
Yeah. So people who are looking ahead are already out there making claims, buying up precious metals and things like that. Yeah. As I say, it's a very interesting situation. I find the psychology very interesting when I look at the behavior of everybody. Some of it makes sense. Some of it is completely nonsensical. Some people can see the hey Tricky, how's it going? The discrepancies, and other people can't. It's quite fascinating. You know, let's say I am a little bit odd myself, and I just look at people and I go, interesting. Yeah, Blazed. I believe it. When I used to visit San Diego decades ago, I could feel the difference in the atmosphere, so to speak. It's like everybody there was worried about appearance, literally, physical appearance and this and that and the other, as opposed to substance, which is what I worry about. I worry about substance. Everybody is crazy. Only difference is flavor and extent. Possibly. Everybody is non-logical a significant amount of the time. Okay. I think we can all agree with that. There's a lot of things you do. I agree, Blindside. A lot of things you do that aren't logical. And just, tomorrow, as you go through the day, think, does that make logical sense? Or is that just, that's the way I like to do it? Or this, me too. Absolutely. I'd rather do it this way than that way. May or may not sex. Uh-oh. You put it in writing, Rock. If she sees that, you're in trouble.
What?
I'm not even going to repeat it. She might have it on audio. Thank you, Rock and Shaggy and David. But $6.19 for gas is where in California where Blazed is right now. Right now, it's just shy of $4 here. There you go, Rock. Smart man.
Some parts of California, it's up over 7 again.
Yeah. Sounds like a Coke. I don't think so. Pretty sure. Maybe dust, but that's about it. Hopefully, it's not hantavirus. That is an actual possibility. There's a lot of pack rats in there. On one of the shelves that I put up where we have stuff, I did find a few pack rat turds. Yep. Paul, I don't know if it's hypnosis, but you do become vulnerable to suggestion. Yes. Gas in Tucson is $3.11. Take care, Poker Face.
Yeah, gas is always cheap in Tucson.
Chris Strobel says gas here, and I believe that's Ocean City, California. It's so high I can't afford to fill the Jeep to do recreational gold mining. May just as well buy a nugget. Yeah, there's some of that. Sin says it's $1.75 Canadian per liter in Saskatoon.
So about $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Tricky says more COVID positives here in the Philippines, maybe different strain even. How's your hospitalizations and stuff though, Tricky? Orange County, California is what Chris says, not Ocean City.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Rock Butcher says we're just shy of $2 per liter here today because somebody blew up a natural gas pipeline, of course. That's like $7 a gallon. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 guesses on who the somebody is.
John says if you are near mining areas, find miners and buy gold from them. Bring scale and test equipment. Yeah. Yeah, filling the truck is kind of expensive. See, what was it? $40 today?
Yeah.
And that was half a tank, a little over half a tank. Refineries not even expand. Of course not. We're going to get away from fossil fuels, Ken. Yeah, exactly.
Never mind not expanding. Some of them still haven't come back online after being damaged.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty crazy. Some schools are closing again. Hospitals, this is tricky. Hospitals okay at the moment. On a technical note, the gin shanty is not leaching. Really? Well, your SRO is so rich, you might be able to just go with something else, like an aqua regia type leach or a halide leach, like hydrobromic acid, bromine, something like that. Is your SRO acidic or basic or neutral? Because If they're like silica or something like that, SRO is neutral. Well, as long as you got something that'll work, that's the main thing. How do you get it out of the hypo? Wow, Ed, that's amazing. Washington is nuts, California. Sluices must be recirculating and you must take the water home, i.e., water from the ocean cannot be returned to the ocean.
Really?
Yeah, that's, see, I'm trying to think. Yeah, insane, pretty much. Yep, like the ocean doesn't stir up sediment. Those little wavy things probably don't do anything, huh?
Of course they don't.
Yeah. Wow.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane. Yep, they're gonna just lock everything up and say you can't make all these rules and then expect things to happen. And when things don't happen, and other things start to happen. So you're using a thiosulfate leach. I guess, what are you doing? Are you precipitating it, Tricky, or are you using a resin? Chris Strobel says, from what I understand here in California, on Forest Service land, you can use a gold pan, but no tools to throw gravel in the gold pan.
No, that makes perfect sense. Totally and complete.
Yep.
Perfect sense.
Tricky says, if I take the floating particles from the water, the really good stuff, and grind to 100 mesh, the Jinshan doesn't work. If I take the settled stuff from the water, there's magnetite and hematite in there, and there the Jinshan works. Lack of catalytic iron? Maybe. Is it possible that the magnetite and hematite might also have like some copper or something in there that may also be catalytic? It may be the iron, or maybe something that's just always associated with the iron. Interesting. So far, the dissolution isn't my problem, just getting it out of the resin. We have yet to try your technique. It's on the plan. My brother was here this week. We were fishing. Been busy. That and hospitals and stuff. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's his way of saying he was slacking off.
Yeah, I was slacking off. Okay. But yeah, we need to set that up and give that a shot too.
I didn't even get to go to the lab.
Hypoleach, 10% sodium chloride and 10 grams. That would be 1% calcium chlorate, I believe. The hypoleach gets everything. Let's see. Hypo leach, 10% NaCl, 1% calcium chlorate, CaOCl, calcium hypochlorite. I would imagine you could direct electrowind out of that. You got plenty of sodium chloride for conductivity. Take care, Shaggy. Both resins work. That's good. So you might try just a direct electrowinning that, especially with your SRO. Yeah, I don't know about that, Chris, but I don't have access anyhow. Is it easy to get off the resin using basically a similar lixivant and electrolytic, so that you've got just a single concentration step and then go directly to the to electrowinning? How do you get it off the resin? Tricky. Oh. I wonder if Matt might like that. Yeah, Chris, I'd believe it if I did it. It's easy to make stuff happen in a YouTube video. Not saying he's telling the truth or not, but I've seen a lot of weird stuff that wasn't necessarily 100%. So how do you get it out of the resin, Tricky? You got to that point yet? Oh, really tight tolerances, huh? The oxidation reduction potential must be controlled every 15 minutes and the pH controlled between 6 and 8, huh? Yeah, that'd be kind of tricky. And the electrolytic might interfere with that too. Yeah, Tricky says I can electrowin the resin directly. Yeah, Kodak, but his good stuff is pretty good stuff. So it's worth it. As long as it works efficiently. He says it only takes about 2 hours. Wow. That is fast. Let's see. What's the pH on your leach solution, Tricky? Does it matter? Or just do the 10% sodium chloride, 1% calcium hypochlorite? Say, is there a pH range that you have to maintain it? And if so, with what? Because that's fast. Not horribly toxic, although the calcium hypochlorite's not nice. 6 to 8 pH. pH 6 to 8 with HCl. That's probably not going to work too well with my ore. We might be able to go neutral. (30°C), a little warm, not too bad. It's about 30°C. What's that, about 90? Little one, 30°C?
Yeah.
Okay, about 90.
Yeah. 94.
Not too hard to get to.
Oh, I can easily get.
Oh, I see. He says it's just ambient temperature there in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Let's say our ore is going to be somewhat more basic than that. What does it usually run in there? About a 9, about a 9 just straight off the bat.
About an 8.5 to 9 straight off the bat.
About 8.5 to 9. That may be
Depends on
close
what's in the
enough.
recycled.
Yeah, might be close enough to make it work. I have a feeling if we tried to get it to neutral, we're going to be using a fair amount of acid. Not sure. Yeah, I got to build that electrowinning thing for the resin for Eva to try out.
Is that before or after you build my Jacob's ladder and my Van de Graaff generator?
Before. Yeah, Rock, I understand. I'm not a chemist at all. And I can recognize the terms. I know basically what they're like: oxidation reduction potential. I know in general what that means, but I'd have to study it to know enough to run a parameter. And I say it's the Eco Goldex works fine on this particular ore for dissolving the gold. Boy, we did get a lot of rain out there at the ranch. Absolutely. When I was out there dropping off the trailer full of ore we got this weekend, I set a hose draining off the top of the rain cover. Yeah, Rockets. You're good at finding stuff. I don't know how good you are at the basic theory of the mining it, but that's half the battle. You still got to process it, and some of these things just get insanely complicated. Generally, precious metals aren't that bad, but some of like rare earths and things, they can get pretty darn complicated. Yeah, it is ore dependent. And everyone out there, there's a good example, Tricky Dicky there. 2 different ores. Is that the same mine or just, mines closely associated with another? But he's got 2 different ores, and one works with one thing and one doesn't. Same mine. Exactly. Oh, okay, Rock. Cool. Then you beat me in just about everything. Sweet. I can learn a lot from you. No, the one of the big mistakes people make, big, is assuming something will work because it worked over there. And over there may only be 100 feet apart. Always test. You know,
Never mind 100 feet. It could be 2 feet apart in our case.
These things are literally just feet apart. And they could behave entirely differently. Luckily, they don't seem to. But yeah, it can be real pain in the butt. Assume nothing, and as soon as something looks strange, double check. Yeah. It sure can, rock, and so can the concentration of valuable mineral too. Cyclodex. Never heard of cyclodex. Let me see if something shows up if I do it here. Cycladex. Cyclodex and precious metal extraction was a disruptive new chemical process that promises to obviate community concerns. Okay, let's see if they got anything here. Faster kinetics. Additional costs, operating and capital costs. Safety aspects in transport, storage, and use. Community concerns, not without its problems. Recent comments, archives, categories, login. No categories. Boy, it's not very informative.
Oh, yeah. Serious sales scanning talk. The goddess is highly skeptical.
I have no clue. The fact that they don't give much in the way of details, not necessarily strange. They may be trying to keep it proprietary.
The goddess is skeptical.
Yeah. Yeah, tricky. If the hypo leach is so tight parameter wise, I can see why you'd. It's like, how easy is it to hand select or select the different? I mean, is it visually different, or are they different veins? How do you determine which goes to which leach? Just the amount of gold in it? What's the parameter? That's being dealt with here, because obviously you got to have some way of sorting it. And visually different and easy to separate. Yeah, I wish I could figure out this ore so far, but it's going to take a lot of assays, and that's what Eva's getting to work on now, is actually fire assaying the rock. And when she does get that, then I'll be able to get a lot more detailed information. Like this last trip, what's this stuff? It looks different from anything I've seen before. It's in the vein zone, but it's past the pinch point. Is this good or not? I don't know. So I took a sample and I'll crush it up and try and send it off for assay, because she's not quite ready yet.
Who are you accusing of not being ready?
Do you have new crucibles?
I have my 2 porcelain crucibles. That's a damn good start.
Yeah, we'll see. So you need clean crucibles to do a rock assay.
I know that.
You know?
Me no idiot here. That's why I have 2 porcelain crucibles. That's all they're going to be used for.
Even then, you're going to have to segregate them, because as soon as you... Now, I was told it was more like 2.25 tons per cubic yard rock in place rock. So you're going to 2.3 to 3 tons. Are you thinking cubic meters or cubic yard? That would account for the difference. Of course, I could be wrong. I was just told that a long time ago, about 1980. What's the specific gravity of silica?
Like 12?
No. Silica. Oh, come on. Where's the frickin' wiki on this? Thank you. Silicon dioxide. Close enough. Wow. Molar mass density 2.648 quartz. 2.196 amorphous. Okay, so let's see. So let's go with 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter. Let's see. So a yard is how many meters? Yard to meter. 1 yard equals 0.91. Okay, so we got 91 centimeters times 91 centimeters times 91 centimeters equals 7,000. 91 times 91 times 91. 753,571 cubic centimeters times 2.6 is grams. Divided by 1,000 is kilograms. 1,900 times 2.2. Yeah, over 2 tons per cubic yard. Yeah. Your math is wrong, Keith.
Absolutely.
You're probably right, Rock.
Yes, his math is wrong.
I still came up with about, well, a little over 2 tons. Okay, where am I wrong? It says 1 meter equals 0.91. 1 yard equals 0.91 meters. So 0.91 meters is 91 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken. So 91 centimeters times 91 centimeters times 91 centimeters equals 753,571 cubic centimeters. Am I good to that point? One yard is 0.76 cubic meters. Would that be like 0.753571? You know? Okay. Well, the thing is, I don't know the density of yards. Okay. So if I do know the number of cubic centimeters, so if I take those cubic centimeters times 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter, I wind up with almost 2 million grams. 1,959,284.6 grams. So divide by 1,000, and I get kilograms. 1,959 kilograms. Okay. So if I multiply that times 2.2, I get 4,310 pounds divided by 2,000 pounds per ton. I get 2.15 tons per cubic yard. See, Dan? So, yeah, 2.155, or as I say, I was told it's about rock. not silica, just country rock, roughly 2.25 tons in place for just rough calculations. Obviously you get stuff that's a lot denser than that, and some stuff that's, much lighter than that. But okay, about 2 tons a cubic yard, maybe a little more. Yep. So I say, close enough. Oh, when you got that much gold in it, that's close enough. Is that a British yard or American? I'm an American. We had a revolution about that. Oh, I'm sure, Chris, there's a lot of rocks that are going to be denser than that. Yep. Oh. Water is 62 pounds per cubic foot. Let's see. Let's try that. 62 pounds per cubic foot. That's an interesting way of going about it. Don't see why it would be a problem. Times 2.6. 4,352 pounds. 2.17 tons. Yep. Close agreement there. Got to run heading out to Butte, Montana at 4 a.m. for a job walk. British gallon or American gallon? American. That's right. Metric started late 1700s. Yep. Oh, well, that is one nice thing about metric is it is the same everywhere. Absolutely. Oh. Anyhow. So I don't know. We do need more assay capability though for rock, so I can just get a much closer look at the various things without having to spend $50 per number. It's easier math in many ways, John. Absolutely. Especially conversions. The problem is when you have us stupid Americans that refuse to cooperate. 1/8 of a millimeter. Oh, Chris, you're cruel. You're cruel. Yeah, that makes sense. Rock Butcher says, working in old gold mines in Canada that were started in Imperial, we continue to use Imperial as we go deeper because the rounding error involved in converting to metric would screw us up at depth.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Well, certainly. Well, yeah. And you don't want to be using different things in the same job. Witness, what was that probe we sent to Mars? Or the European Space Agency was using meters per second and we were using feet per second?
Well, you may notice, Bear, I do my math in metric at the mine. In my lab runs on metric.
I was wondering. I didn't notice you doing any math at the mine. The lab, I noticed.
In the lab, I run on metric.
Yeah.
That does not mean I necessarily like metric, but I run on
grams per amino. Why is milli 1,000, not a million, because million is not actually standard for 1 million historically. Yeah. No, actually, the Hubble didn't get the math wrong, John. What happened with the Hubble is that they were using an instrument to measure the grinding and polishing that had been misassembled. And there was a little part inside that had like a square post it could go on, and it could go either way, and it would look like it was actually working when it wasn't. Now, with the Hubble, because it was an incredibly expensive thing and you're not going to be able to fix it very easily, the contract specified that they had to use another measuring instrument from a different manufacturer, different design, different manufacturer that measures the same optical stuff to verify it before it could go on to the process, which was a much more complicated piece of equipment to use. And when they used it, it said, you've got spherical aberration. So, like any good bureaucrat, rather than saying, wow, we got a problem here, we got to figure out what's going on, they go, I don't like that number, let's forget it, and just literally ignored it. So you got a multi-billion-dollar project completely dependent on a mirror, and you have two instruments giving you two different readings, and instead of going, time out, let's see what's going on, they just took the one they wanted and kept going. Wow.
And there's a problem with this?
Yeah. You must have weird beer bottles in Kanukistan then, Rock. Yeah, it was a repurposed mirror, but I believe it had to be reground. And yeah, they had two different measuring instruments. I forget. I think one was Perkins-Elmer and one was something else. And one was just a lot easier to use. So that's what they used to grind it and polish it. And then when they went to do the double check, it didn't match. And instead of just saying, you see, if I was a project manager, it's like, hey, Perkins-Elmer, who's the best guy on this machine? Can you have him here next Monday? Okay. Hello, instrument maker 2. Who's the best guy you got on this machine? Can you have him here Monday? Yeah. They're going to stay here until they agree as to what's going on. Bye. Click. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they did have extra mirror blanks for the keyhole satellites. That's why they got it cheap. And they repolished it for what it was supposed to do, and they got it wrong. And that's what it was. However, it was such a perfect flaw that they were able to correct it perfectly. And so by setting up a new secondary mirror and installing it in one of the packages they could put in there, they were able to correct the spherical aberration. But yeah, that's how they got it wrong. There was a little component in the instrument used to measure their grinding and polishing that literally could be put in backwards, and somebody had. This is why you make triangular mounting posts.
With this, but apparently the U.S. is deploying the world's most expensive military ship to the Atlantic, carrying 9,000 troops. Don't know if I believe it. Haven't seen
the world's most expensive military ship?
Yes.
What the hell would that be? What kind of ship is it, little one?
I don't know yet, Bear. I said I do not know if I would follow, if I trust this source yet. Let me get back to it.
Okay. I don't know. Bureaucrats do weird stuff. Zoom wall. It wouldn't hold 9,000 troops. It even said something about 9,000 troops. It must be like the Gerald R. Ford.
Well, I'm looking for it again. It's done disappeared somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's as I understand it, Paul. It was when they built a whole bunch of these keyhole satellites, they had extra mirrors in case they screwed something up or whatever. And it was one of those surplus blanks that they used to make the mirror for the Hubble Space Telescope. Here's a good one out there. And Chris, if you know this one, you can't say anything. The Keck telescope in Hawaii, huge mirror, segmented. But the segments are kind of oddball shapes and stuff. And so they have to be polished to a really kind of an oddball shape. So they all fit together to form a nice parabolic shape. So how did they make it simple to polish these mirror sections and put it all together? If you need to rock, you can always crawl and sit down. I would guess because you're kind of spying through a keyhole. That'd be my guess. Well, I think in this case with the keyhole satellite, there was a whole number of them they were making. And so, like, if you're going to have 8 satellites, you just go ahead and buy 10 mirror blanks. And that way, if one gets damaged, you've got another one to fill in. But I said they worked out an ingenious way to make polishing the individual segments of the Keck really simple, even though they're quite complex shapes. Now, in the case of the University of Arizona, where I used to live close, the way they make these big single mirrors so easy to polish is they spin them as they're cooling. And so it forms a pretty close to a perfect parabola, you know? And saves a lot of grinding. Takes them about 9 months to make one of those mirrors, up to 23 feet across. Okay, in answer to the question of how did they grind the mirrors and the segments in the Keck telescope to all these oddball shapes, simply they figured out we take this mirror blank, the segment blank, and we stress it in a particular way so it's out of shape, and then we just grind a simple surface on it, release the pressure, and it will relax into the complex shape. And it worked quite well. Oh, yeah, over there in above Safford, they have two 23 foot mirrors, 100 feet apart. And poor guy watching me die of boredom. Well, I'm sorry, Jeff. Yeah, it's quite interesting getting those mirrors up that road. It's just kind of a little windy 2-lane hairpin turn thing. Oh yeah. Over there at Safford, they do the adaptive optics and stuff. Yeah, over 100 times a second. Yeah, they can see better than the Hubble Space Telescope with that thing. Absolutely. But anyway,
binocular one.
Yeah, the large binocular telescope.
The one it's named Lucifer or something, isn't it?
No.
Weird name.
LBT. Let's see. Lucifer? I don't think so. It's the Vatican's part of it. Large. Okay. Didn't think so. Large rifle primers. Large binocular. first one, large binocular telescope. Mount Graham. I don't think it's got a name. You're right.
Told you.
There's something about Lucifer here.
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer may also refer to an asteroid, the Roman name for Venus, arts and entertainment, film and TV, fictional characters, music. Oh my gosh. Lucifer, a block star, Lucifer crustacean.
Well, as I remember, somebody was, there was some tinfoil hat theory running around about that.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. Why do they call it Lucifer?
Yeah. I told you.
You're right.
Well, of course I was right. I'm the tinfoil hat goddess. I know this shit. As to why they named it Lucifer, I don't know.
Lucy, Luci, originally Lucifer, large binocular telescope near infrared spectrographic utility with camera and integral field unit for extragalactic research.
Does that explain?
Boy, they really had to stretch to get that acronym, didn't they?
I told you it was named Lucifer.
They had to ignore binocular telescope near infrared spectroscopic between large utility camera integral field. Then they eliminated unit for extragalactic research.
I told you it was named Lucifer.
Yeah. It's actually one of the instruments on it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that.
The goddess knows shit, okay?
Night, David. Yeah, it's a pretty big telescope, Lauren. But yeah, I used to deal with the truck company that would haul that up there, and they had a particular turn. It's got this sharply banked turn, but the telescope's really big, is they'd actually have to have a front end loader pulling with a cable on the side to keep it from falling over. And they also had to try and they do it at night, and they have special escorts because they were afraid that the environmental nutballs would try shooting it with a high-powered rifle. And
eco-terrorists.
Yeah, eco-terrorists, yeah. And so I say it was
you
pretty
gotta
weird.
Learn to listen to the goddess on shit like that.
I do listen to you, but I say I've never heard that one. I've been to the people who actually made the telescope watching presentations on it, and I never heard anything about Lucifer.
Yeah, that's because the Vatican is run by closet Satanists. Every tinfoil hatter knows this.
Could be true. Stranger things have apparently come to light.
Illuminati and shit.
The Illuminati. So illumination, light bringers, it's the same thing.
Yes.
Bacronym's really a word. I think what they mean with that, Jeff, is they start with an acronym that they want it to sound cool, and then they come up with some kind of weird bunch of words that'll add up to that. Yep. But yeah, some of this weird stuff. They do it a lot with laws, They'll come up with the SAFE Act, and then well, that sounds really good. Now, what can we make it, come to make that acronym? Yeah, it's weird. People are weird, but such is life. Anyhow, well, I got that video up today of what we did this weekend. It was raining a lot, which is really quite strange. And it usually doesn't rain that much, but Saturday it rained from before dawn till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, nonstop. And then it pretty much stopped and stayed clear until it rained a little bit this morning, before dawn till shortly after dawn. And aside from that, it was cloudy and it's really cool looking. You'll see if you haven't seen the video, you ought to. It looks pretty cool. But we're trying to be more selective on the mining and adjusting the ladder track to where we don't have to move as much waste. And all this is determined by a lot of assaying. This is where you can't really, it's a false economy to try and save money on assaying when you don't have enough information, because then you wind up doing stupid stuff. So every time you run into a new rock type, best to assay it. And well, that's almost as bad as the oddball. But yeah. We are in Montana, within a 60-mile radius of Helena is where this mine is. And we're trying to make something work under a number of constraints. Paul Coover, have you all seen the snake church and pulpit at the Vatican? No, I have not. Have you, tinfoil hat person?
What?
Seen the snake church and pulpit at the Vatican?
I've seen pictures of it.
She says she's seen pictures of it.
All kinds of weird stuff at the Vatican. The goddess would love to have free run of the Vatican libraries, the ones they don't tell you about, for about a month.
I wish it was that good, John, but I don't believe so. And it would be a hell of a long tunnel. I'd want to start a lot closer. Besides which, the goddess doesn't believe there's anything in Fort Knox if you were able to tunnel into it, since nobody has apparently inventoried it in a long time.
Fort Knox was not even officially inventoried before they put the seals on. It has not been inventoried.
Chris wants to know, do you know Aramaic?
Can't read it unless it's in American letters.
She says she can't read it unless it's in American letters.
Can't
Chris.
read Hebrew either.
And can't read Hebrew either.
Keep meaning to.
But anyhow. Might need more than a few months.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of weird shit in the Vatican.
Yep.
And no, there is nothing in Fort Knox. And the goddess has severe doubts as to whether there's anything gold-wise at the New York Federal Reserve either.
Yeah.
Since everybody who tries to get their gold out of there hasn't been able to get it.
Chris Stovall asks, how about Koine Greek? Koine.
Koine?
Koine.
I know a few words. Don't read Greek.
She knows a few words.
The goddess does not read letters that do not look Western.
She doesn't know weird alphabets.
Nope. I wish.
Oh, well, so you where? Join the artillery part of the army. They will even put up and feed you. Then let us know if there's any gold there. Have you heard about Reno and the Treasury?
Haven't heard anything lately.
She says not lately. I disagree with her. I think there's something in Fort Knox. Air. Yep.
Lately, the tinfoil hat community has been discussing the matter of the pipelines.
Oh, apparently it's not the subject of debate right now on the tinfoil hat crowd.
Oh, and the Illuminati.
And the Illuminati. Pipelines and Illuminati. IOUs. Could be. I know that it was very suspicious to me when the Germans wanted to repatriate, what was it, 300 tons of gold or something that they put there right after World War II. And the Fed said, well, it's going to take us 6 years, and we're going to have, for inventory purposes, we're going to have to melt it all into new bars and restamp it so that we can keep proper track of it. It's
Texas still hasn't gotten their gold
yeah,
back.
sure. The Indians have the gold, big time gold. I presume that means Indians dot, not feather. Yeah, they're big into gold.
Oh, they have greatly increased their silver buying as well.
The plan for this week is to, number one, get another batch in the tank out at the mill. Number two, meet Dave, I think it is. Dave, Doug, someone. Dave, yep, I was right. In the mountains over here, and possibly stake a claim. And Thursday, on schedule. Probably going to take Tuesday and Thursday to get the ore crushed and ground. And then head back to the mine on Friday and try and keep digging.
Okay, dude.
What?
What for you ate all the wet topping?
I didn't eat all of it. I ate most of it.
Okay, this is just totally unacceptable here.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to enjoy my ice cream without wet topping?
You know where the grocery stores are. You could say something. Is there a list? Is it written down? I'm being assaulted. This one would be staking our own claims. This would be.
He actually expects me to eat my triple chocolate ice cream with this much whipped topping.
Eat this much ice cream. And the current owner I'm working with also has one claim. He wants me to stake yonder direction. Not sure exactly where, what, why, when, or how, but he would like that done before the snows fall. So that's tentatively scheduled for like next Thursday, not the one coming up, but the one after. So we got a busy until the snowflies season going on here. And hopefully we'll get down into nice wide vein of good ore by that time. We shall see what we shall see. I believe the Fed in New York was, other countries, but that's what I'm saying. When Germany wanted theirs, it took the Fed 6 years to give it to them in dribs and drabs. And to me, that sounds awfully like, well, we got to buy it up and melt it down for you.
Well, you may have noted the Vatican is trying to repatriate all their money to the Vatican banks.
Sounds like an eventful week. Yes, Dan, I'm behind schedule here because the nosebleed thingy and the kidney thingy, and very, very annoying. How's the weather looking like around Wednesday? Yes, we did. We got soaked on Saturday. Good point. Let's see what the weather is looking like on Wednesday. Sunny, 74. Thursday, partly cloudy, 64. Tuesday, sunny, 73. Let's just see what kind of, very minuscule chances of rain on Thursday. Nothing of any significance. So weather looks good all through the weekend. A week from tomorrow, rainy and 49 degrees. So somewhere around the beginning of the week next week is looking iffy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, with this whole, you better get it done before the snow flies thing, it gets kind of annoying, especially as there's stuff I'd like to get done on the truck, but I'm just trying to keep it patched together until we can't use it anymore. Take care, Chris. Be safe. We will give it our best shot. I was actually using my safety harness when Eva was asleep. I was spacing out that ladder track. And so when I was up high enough where falling would be really unpleasant, I had myself snapped off. Yep. Yeah, Tricky. It's nice until you try and get something done. I agree. It's very pretty. It really is. Take care, Chris. Come by anytime. Ask any questions you got. So I do admit it is really pretty. I don't know why snow is pretty. I mean, because in general, it just interferes with getting things done. And yet, for some reason, take care, Paul. And thank you for the dowsing rods. We'll see what we can do with that. Oh, absolutely, Dan. We use it every week. When we're pulverizing the ore for each batch, as the pulverized ore is running down a chute, there's a 1/2-inch hole that splits off part of it. And then that portion I then split down to a single sample. Take care, Tricky, and thanks for all the help. I appreciate it. Very, very helpful. So yeah, I use that splitter all the time whenever we're doing samples, like the stuff I just took this weekend out at the mine, where I'm curious as to what is in it. I'll go ahead and I'll crush it up, split it down, and then throw the rest in the ore pile to be pulverized. The complication is that when I'm just crushing ore, I'm just using the jaw crusher. When I go to split it, I'll go ahead and put the rolls, engage those, so I can get a finer grind. Dan, I would go, I forgot how many slots I had, but they were 3/4 of an inch wide. And in order to make anything, I went to 1 1/8 inch wide. It makes for an even number of slots, but it makes it a lot easier for coarser material to flow. Take care, Blind Sight. Aside from that, pretty darn happy with it. And that was it. But yeah, the 3/4 inch slots, when you got like 1/2 inch material, 1/2 inch minus, it's plugging up a lot. You got to kind of manually do that. Also, even fine material, if it's a little bit sticky, the bigger slots, it flows better. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's about it. Still, I think an awesome design in terms of there's almost no waste at all. You can make, what was that? 4 of them out of a single sheet of sheet metal, 4x8 sheet, and have a little bit left over. Yeah. Well, typically when I was in Tucson, I just go down to Industrial Metal Supply and get a 2x4 sheet. And that was enough to make one, no problem. And so I wind up with like an extra side panel. And all I wind up was like 1.5 inches or 2 inches of waste, 2 inches by 12 inches or something like that. Not much. So it was pretty damned efficient. I'm very, very proud of that design because it's pretty simple and very efficient on the use of metal. We may make some this winter over at Lawrence. If we got extra time sitting around, we can whip a couple up and go from there, because Lauren needs one, so that will work fine. He's even got a brake, so works pretty well. Don't know if he's got a spot welder. Do you have a resistance welder, Lauren? I kind of suspect you do.
Well, of course he does. Lauren has everything. We all know this.
Of course not, Rock. That's not how it works. Little stockpile of steel sheet to get plates for my jaw crusher. Yeah, we're looking at maybe. Yeah, Lauren says yes, I do. Of course.
Lauren has everything. You know
Yeah. Yeah, we may be making some jaw plates for the RC46 too. We're gonna try making them out of mild steel with only hard facing. The ones that come from the manufacturer, they're a hardened steel plate, and without hard facing in quartz, they'll wear out in about 6 hours at $125 each. If you hard face them, they tend to crack and break. So, you got a problem. They last a lot longer, but nevertheless, they tend to break. So we're thinking if we go with a mild steel backing and then hard facing, then we'll have less of a cracking problem. Lauren did a really good job of keeping them flat the last time. You're putting a lot of heat on a small sheet of metal, so keeping it from warping is not easy. And he did a really good job on that. But we may play some games. Anyway. So say there's that, and I got work to do on the truck. We'll see what happens. I think he did, Dan. Lauren, did you do all that? I presume you did. I know you post-cooled it. They say they're just a high alloy heat-treated steel, and it's just not the best substrate for doing a lot of hard facing on, not when it's only a 1/4 inch thick. It's say we're thinking, they're expensive. Yeah, pre and post heat. Yeah, told you. So we were thinking that just going with mild steel is cheaper and less likely to crack. And since it's not taking any of the wear, it's all the hard facing, why bother with the expensive stuff? What grade your, I guess my rock, real good friend's oldest son drove in yard tonight, shocked how fast time goes by. Yeah, it is amazing how fast goes time by. I'm not at liberty to discuss the precise grades and such. It's not my project. But say if you've looked at some of my things in the past, you can get an idea from what I say is a potential economic grade. It's better than 1/2 ounce to the ton. In order for us to make money, it'll have to be better than 1/2 ounce to the ton. Okay, and a couple feet wide. We're preliminary chip sampling indicated that is quite plausible, but the actual mining is not going as well as we were hoping. So that's about all I can tell you at this point. What grade are your children? Rock Butcher. Okay. Oldest is in grade 10, youngest in 7th. 3 of them that showed up. Whap, whap, whap. Well, you know what causes that, Rock? You know, you can get that fixed. My ex-wife said I was low calorie, guaranteed non-fattening. Yeah, I fixed it. After the third one. Hey, Rock, correct me if I'm wrong. If you have one child, you have a noise level, let's say a noise level 1. If you have 2 children, then the noise level goes to about 3. But if you get 3, then it's more like level 3 squared. It's ridiculous. Oh. Your machines are nice. Also, I was wondering. Okay. What are you wondering, Jeff? Yeah, that the third one, when Bonnie was born, I said, that's it. I can't handle anymore. I don't know, Rock. It's just the constant, something's always happening. Somebody's awake and making noise. Somebody needs attention. Somebody needs supervision. Somebody needs. It's like, I'm tired. Can I get some sleep, please? Yes, exactly. It's a power law, not a additive, Jeff.
Well, you do realize if they had a proper mother, you wouldn't have had as much problems.
Probably not. Okay, Dan. Let me see. Have you sent me your email? Let's see. I think I've seen something from you. Okay, Dan, your last name starts with an H. Am I correct? Yeah. Lauren, you've got that brand new plate. Can you measure that and get me the specs? And I can send that to Dan and we'll see what. No, that's not the one. If you get me the specs on that, then I'll send that to Dan and we'll see about maybe getting some plates cut out. That would be great, Dan. Yeah, because basically just a rectangular plate with 2 countersunk holes. They come stock a 1/4 inch thick. With all the wear in mind, we could probably go a little thicker. It wouldn't hurt anything if that's what you got. But yeah, it's just 1/4 inch thick. Okay, Lauren will get me that, Dan, and then I can forward it on to you. Maybe a few days. Lauren's really busy right now. And let's see, Lauren. Tomorrow I'm busy. Wednesday I'm busy. Might be able to get over there at that job site Thursday morning and do a little work. Did you get those pieces of 1/2 inch plywood cut, Lauren? No hurry, Dan. We got enough to get us through this season. Or at least we should. We were planning on doing this over the winter time too. And say it's got, say, just rectangular with 2 countersunk holes, one top, one bottom. Pretty sure it's a 1/2-inch diameter bolt with a countersunk head. It's a hex, like an Allen bolt with a countersunk head. It's not showing any rain, Lauren. And yeah, I'll see what I can do. That's where those dividers might come in real handy. And I can just make sure you got a couple good pencils too. Those big pencils. Because all the ones I see out there are little teeny stubs now. Makes it kind of hard to sharpen them and use them. So next time you're at the hardware store or whatever, if you don't have somewhere, just get a couple of the big carpenter's pencils. And then I can use the divider and just trace it. It shouldn't be too hard. Say if we have the plywood as a base and a reference line, get that set. Then when I put the thing on top, measure the distance it sticks out from the edge of the plywood, set the dividers, trace the back, scribe the back, and voila. And that should give us a good contact. This is the thing Lauren's working on is a bunch of uneven blocks, and we want to cut things in so that they mesh nicely. It's really fun. It gets complicated, very complicated. But since Eva doesn't get up till, like 10 or 11 in the morning, and I get up like at 7, I can usually go over there and help him out for a few hours. By then I'm getting tired anyway, so what the heck. So anyhow, that's basically what's going on here. We will be very busy over the next couple of weeks. And I presume just working our butts off until the weather closes us down. Pretty soon, hey, Tricky, pretty soon we're going to have to start bringing in the resin cartridges out at the mill because they could freeze. And we're going to have to store the resin, the unused resin and the loaded resin someplace so it doesn't freeze. Oh. Anyhow. Oh. Yeah, if that vein just opens up a little bit from where it is right now, we should be able to move pretty fast. We got a light load this weekend. Part of that was me. I wasn't feeling too good. Part of it was I had a lot to do with the ladder track, and part of it was the rain. But now that I got the ladder track moved out, we should be moving a lot less waste. Probably saving over 3 cubic feet of waste per foot of advance. Not really rock. There's not much in the way of pillars. There's only one place where there is a pillar, and it's good stuff, but it's got 50 feet of open back on one side and 50 feet of open back on the other side. So we'd have to put in some really good ground support before we worried about it. I mean, there's no rock bolting, nothing, just some stoles. It's really good quartzite. But yeah, it's something. Go back. What was it? 2 years ago, something like that. Montana B, second visit, third visit, like that. Take a look in there, where we call it Pack Rat Penthouse. That's basically a pillar there, and there's two good sized pillars right next to the main lower decline, and yeah, I know why they left them there. But on the other side of those pillars, it goes back 30 or 40 feet. Does moisture get on you in the mine on that ladder? When it's raining, that does get moisture. I didn't notice a problem in terms of traction and such. My stability seemed good. The feet, because of the angle of the ladder, if here's the rung of the ladder and it's like this, and your foot is going this and the heel is hitting the rung of the ladder, and it's pretty solid. The rungs are so small, they're easy to wrap your hand around too. Yeah, that might work, blind dude. You might want to see about a frequency controller to change the speed. Really, Rock? I'm seeing it at 9:43. Paul Coover asked it, and I've got it set live chat instead of top chat. What the hell? I always had problems with that. I used a hose clamp on mine. Yeah, you saw the comment, didn't you, Chris? Really? Paul Coover, he's made quite a few comments tonight.
What's up?
I don't know. Rock isn't seeing Paul Coover's chats.
Huh.
Well, Paul Coover has made a number, so that would make sense.
Trey Bizarro.
Yeah. YouTube. Chris says sometimes he doesn't get everyone's chats, and he's a moderator.
Bizarro.
Damn YouTube. Rock blocked me? You got a block thing there? Rock, see if you have an option in terms of blocking and everything, and see if you accidentally blocked Paul sometime. Because Paul says that he thinks that you blocked him for some reason. I don't know if he can tell that or not. I know. That's why I said it would be accidental. Because I'm getting him. Oh, I'd say, I don't know. YouTube is weird. Several years ago, when we were just bullshitting around, I got out a rifle just to show some people because it's kind of a historic sort of thing. The stream went down and got deleted. I couldn't recover the stream.
And he got a strike.
And I got a strike. Why? I just was showing off a historic weapon there was no threats, nothing like that. Tricky says sometimes I don't see all of his texts either.
I tell you, it's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Censorship is rife.
It's just crazy. I have no idea, Ed. Jeff says I've accidentally blocked people, but I can't remember how I fixed it. I'm on live chat. Correct, blind dude. I don't know, let me just see. Participants, pop out chat, toggle timestamps. So let's see what happens if I click on a person. Pin, report, remove, put user in timeout, hide user on the channel, add moderator. Okay. I don't want either one. Wow. Yeah, I always go to live chat because it says in top chat, you may not see certain things. Rock says, when I go to participants, he doesn't even see Paul. Wow. That's weird. Well, we all know YouTube sucks. I trust Chris on this. He's a lot more knowledgeable about electrons than I am. Weirdness. Oh. Rock says, bizarre. Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you. YouTube sucks. Yep. Jeff says he's not had timestamps all night. Weird, because I just toggled them on. You need to Google how to unblock. It's not super easy.
Well, of course it's not super easy.
My goodness. When it comes to YouTube, I figure it's their fault by default. Pretty much. I have no clue. I'm surprised I got to this far on it with my electron IQ. I don't know, Paul. Rock says he blames it all on his kids. Works for me. Oops, wait a minute. My kids are all older than I am. Not older, but they're bigger. Well, at least they're all adults. My grandson's bigger than me.
My boys are bigger than you.
Really? Well, I know Ryan is heavier, but are they taller?
No, actually, I think they're the same height.
I think they're about my height.
They
Dylan,
both outweigh you by a little bit.
I don't know.
Dylan in muscle and Ryan in,
I don't know, how much does Dylan weigh?
like 210.
210,
But
really?
he's solidly muscular.
Yeah, he's in good shape. Of course, being in the military, he ought to be.
Well, he has to keep cutting and working out because the stupid BMI chart keeps saying he's obese, so he has to take to stay in. That's what's going on with that shit.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Got too much muscle, you're obese. It's the world we live in right now. Has the world gone crazy? Answer, yes. Rock Butcher says his youngest is now taller than his mom. Everyone found it quite humorous when they realized it.
Oh, a new meme.
What?
What Chinese products can you do without? It's done in the style of Family Feud.
Uh
Top answer: Joe Biden.
huh. Makes sense to me. Oops, another strike.
Survey says.
Yep. Oh. Oh goodness. Well, so got a busy week. Had a busy week before that. Had a busy week before that. Yeah, sure was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Absolutely. Yep.
Credit Suisse 2033 bonds hits record lows and now trade at only 53 cents on the euro.
Wow.
That's kind of sad.
Sometimes what you type can easily be misinterpreted, possibly. I write it poorly in a hurry. Sure know that one. Letters are worn off my keyboard. In my case, most of them are still there. There's one, the E is pretty worn, but the problem is they glare. Where the light is, I get this glare and it makes it really hard to see. Take care, Tricky. All the best. Yep. Kiss them babies.
Yep, kiss the babies.
Oh, well, anything else, folks here? Oh, well, I suppose good afternoon. Yeah, with Tricky, probably is. Well, let's say I'll see what we can get done here, and especially with Tricky, I got to work out some of that stuff. That electrolytic cell is going to be interesting to set up. That should work out okay. And oh, that's what should be showing up at the post office. Your stirrer, your stirrer. Good night, Dan. Yep.
Oh, gee, wow. The thrills, the excitement.
She doesn't know.
Wake me up when I get a Van de Graaff generator and a Jacob's ladder.
She doesn't know how much a stirrer can come in handy. Okay, Tricky, thank you.
That I like standing and stirring my things?
Not for hours at a time, nonstop. Take care, blind dude. Oh. Somebody's got a YouTube handle, Joe Biden. Says, you rang?
Probably a bot.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's probably a bot.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bot. I think somebody did that deliberately.
Yeah, we rang. So
Yeah.
I got a question.
Chris says,
Joe.
no, it's one of ours having fun. Yeah, I presume so.
So I have a question.
Oh, what?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes?
You supposedly were raised Puerto Rican politically in Delaware. Was this before or after you drove an 18-wheeler and were a coal miner?
Oh, Tricky says you can make a Jacob's ladder with a microwave transformer too. I think Lauren's got stuff over at his place. I've made him with a neon sign transformer.
Everybody keeps saying this.
Oh yeah,
or it didn't happen.
They will fry your ass. Joe Biden says, I drove my grandpa's 36-wheeler to the coal mines.
Okay.
Chris says, use a neon sign transformer if you're going to play with high voltage.
Well, I would, but nobody ever provides one. Certain people.
We're a little
here,
busy for your entertainment right now.
It's not a matter of entertainment. It's a matter of the lab is incomplete.
Yeah, well, it's a whole lot more than incomplete right now. We got shelves to build and motorcycles to move too. Trust me, you have no room for a Jacob's ladder. There is no way you could be safe around it because there would be no room to get far enough away from it.
Excuses, excuses.
Survey today: who is the best public speaker? Biden 1%, Kamala Harris 1%, bag of trash 98%.
Absolutely. Random mentally deranged homeless person speaks better than either.
Yeah, we'll worry about it this winter, Chris. Yeah, there's all kinds of things to do in the winter here. Right now, we're racing the snow. As they said in Game of Thrones, winter is coming.
Oh, that reminds me, the newest memes going around about the financial situation.
Uh-huh.
Printer is coming.
Printer is coming, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, so unless somebody's got some mining questions or something like that, I think we're going to call it a night. And the Van de Graaff works better in winter because of dry air. Yeah. See? Yeah. Okay. So we'll do what videos we can this week, but yeah, Joe. Okay, everybody, I'm going to call it a night here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the questions and the answers and everything. And sorry I don't have anything real exciting for you lately, but we'll be working on it. So happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.